Chapter 271. The surviving clansmen of the Wen clan could only imagine the scenery of their ancestral land through the jade slips of the family tree, dreaming of the scene when they obtained the inheritance. Now, the siblings were only one step away from their dreams coming true. They had already arrived at the Wen clan's inheritance altar. As long as they obtained the inheritance, their dreams could be realized. "What are you waiting for? Let's go up." Jiang Xi smiled. His master had entrusted him with the task of visiting the Wen clan. However, seeing the Wen clan in such a state, if he did not help them, his master would probably visit him in his dreams. If he could help the Wen siblings obtain the Wen clan's inheritance, it would be considered as fulfilling his master's task. Jiang Xi turned around to take a look. Behind him, Qiao Xian, Zheng Yuqing, Feng Sai, and Fu Zai were only halfway there. Then, Jiang Xi and the other two walked up the stairs and climbed to the top of the inheritance altar with anticipation. When the Wen clan's ancestor, Wen Yang, opened up the Qianyang Grotto heaven and established the inheritance ancestral land, he had specially separated a wisp of his Li Fire Dao. This wisp of Li Fire Dao used the inheritance altar's blood-forbidden Li Fire formation as its core and merged with the entire Qianyang Grotto heaven. When Jiang Xi, Wen Yushin, and when Feng reached the top of the inheritance altar, they could clearly sense the wisp of Li Fire Dao that permeated the heaven and earth. The inheritance altar that spanned over 100 square kilometers was enveloped by a Dao aura. The intense Dao aura exuded a pressure that seemed to transcend the natural order of life, making the three of them feel deep veneration. Jiang Xi took a deep breath and said to the Wen siblings, "Carefully sense the Li Fire Dao aura here. If you don't have enough Dao crystals, ask for more from me." "Thank you, Uncle Granduncle." The two of them were extremely grateful. The blood-forbidden Li Fire formation existed around the inheritance altar in the form of a sea of fire. The inheritance altar was the core of the formation. Being here, they had to constantly refine Dao crystals and use the wisp of Li Fire Dao aura in the Dao crystals to resist the power that could incinerate everything. Jiang Xi had a lot of Dao crystals on him. Previously, he had obtained close to 250,000 Dao crystals from hunting fire spirits. Just now, when the four forces had joined forces to kill those ordinary cultivators, he had conveniently killed many cultivators from the four forces. Now, he had close to 300,000 Dao crystals on him. A Dao crystal could last for 1 second in the blood-forbidden Li Fire array. Such a number was enough to ensure that they could last for a long time at the inheritance altar. "Remember, don't make any moves," Jiang Xi warned again. Wen Yushin and Wen Feng chuckled. They had also seen this warning in the clan record's jade slips. The inheritance altar was the most sacred place of the Wen clan. There was a ban laid down by the patriarch here. If anyone dared to make a move on the inheritance altar without permission, they would be punished. Then, the three of them found a place and sat down cross-legged. Compared to the huge inheritance altar, they seemed very small. The Wen clan siblings closed their eyes. As they refined the Dao crystal, they began to seriously comprehend the Li Fire Dao charm that permeated the world. When they started to comprehend, the Li Fire Dao rhymes were like naughty children, dancing and circling around the two of them. When Jiang Xi saw this, he fell into deep thought. This pair of brother and sister were of the Wen clan's bloodline. The wisp of Ignis Dao left behind by the Wen family's ancestor had a natural affinity with the two of them. Master once mentioned in the inherited memories that the Wen clan members had to go through to obtain the inheritance in the Qianyang Grotto heaven. First, you have to hunt fire spirits and obtain enough Dao crystals. This is equivalent to a test before the inheritance. The Dao crystal is the foundation of everything. With the Dao crystal, you will have the time and opportunity to comprehend the Li Fire Dao charm left behind by Uncle Master Wen Yang at the inheritance altar. If the inheritance altar is a door, then the Li Fire Dao charm is the key. After successfully comprehending the Dao charm, you will be able to open the door and enter the door. That is the true Wen clan inheritance. However, even if you successfully enter the door, you will still need a seal removal method. This step-by-step was enough to show how difficult it was to obtain the inheritance. Jiang Xi was not worried that someone would beat him to it. This was the reason why he was not worried. Those who were not from the Wen clan or did not have a seal removal method, even if they comprehended the Li Fire Dao charm at the inheritance altar, they would not be able to obtain the final inheritance. Of course, Jiang Xi was not in the list of restrictions. However, his main target now was the baleful yang energy sealed under the inheritance altar. Whether it was outside or inside the door, it would not affect his refining of the dark yang energy. Therefore, he had a clear goal and did not comprehend the Li Fire Dao charm first. Instead, he formed tens of thousands of seals with both hands and slapped them on the surface of the inheritance altar. In the next moment, many complex array runes appeared on the smooth surface of the altar where he was sitting cross-legged. Waves of extremely pure and vigorous energy passed through the array runes and surged up from below, directly entering Jiang Xi's body. Dark yang energy, it's very sufficient. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. The seals that he had formed earlier were to open a hole in the blood prohibition Li Fire array that covered the inheritance altar. He would release the dark yang energy sealed under the inheritance altar. When River Word sensed the dense energy gushing out, he didn't waste any time. With a thought, he quickly activated the yin-yang nourishment technique. Suddenly, an inexplicable attraction appeared in his body and absorbed all the dark yang energy that surged up into his body without any wastage. The combination of yin and yang. I have refined a lot of dark yang energy before, so I am attracted to the dark yang energy. Therefore, I don't need to absorb much of it now and the dark yang energy will automatically enter my body. Jiang Xi smiled as he had expected this. Then, he began to refine the dark yang energy that surged into his body. In his lower dantian, the wind and sword shadows emitted an inexplicable Dao charm that surrounded his golden core and kept circling. When the refined dark yang energy entered his lower dantian, suddenly, the speed of the circling increased. The golden core's transformation accelerated as if it had a life and was rapidly forming. Absorb, absorb, absorb. Jiang Xi's face was filled with excitement as he frantically absorbed and refined the dark yang energy that surged up from below the inheritance altar. As for whether the dark yang energy would affect the Wen family's inheritance ancestral land and Qianyang Grotto heaven, the answer was yes. Of course there would be an impact. Moreover, it would be a destructive impact. The blood prohibition Li Fire array was set up by his master, Daoist Ge. Now, Daoist Ge's remnant soul had dissipated. The reason why this array could still operate was mainly because of the dark yang energy. Without the dark yang energy, the blood prohibition Li Fire array would lose its most important source of energy. Soon, this array would gradually disappear like the Heaven and Earth Spirit Lock array and the outer seal of Qianyang Grotto heaven. The consequence of the unsealing would be the collapse of the inheritance altar. At that time, the entire Qianyang Grotto heaven would be destroyed. Chapter 272. Before coming to Murong planet, he did not expect such an accident to happen. Jiang Xi's original plan was to only refine a small portion of the yang energy without affecting the seal of the array formation. This way, he could ensure the normal operation of the Wen family's inheritance altar. Now, in Riverword's opinion, if he was crippled, then so be it. The outer seal of Qianyang Grotto heaven had already been unsealed. Without the protection of the array formation, anyone could enter. When the time came, news of this place would spread. The inheritance of a Dao integration stage expert would definitely attract powerful essence soul or even Dao integration stage cultivators. The Wen family had declined to such a state. Only Wen Yuxin and Wen Feng were left. They did not have the ability to control this Grotto heaven mystic realm. Rather than exposing the Wen family's inheritance to those experts, it was better to destroy it. Daoist Ge and Wen Yang would probably agree with him. Therefore, Riverword did not have any misgivings as he wantonly absorbed and refined the baleful yang energy sealed beneath the inheritance altar. The speed of the golden core's transformation is 100 times faster than before. Under normal circumstances, he would need 10 years to complete the golden core's transformation. Even if it was 100 times faster now, it would still take at least a month. But, with the number of Dao crystals I have, I can only last for 3.5 days at most. This is far from enough. I need to be faster. With that, He made a few more hand seals and increased the speed of the yang energy release by 10 times. And the speed of the golden core's transformation was 1,000 times faster. Feeling the surging yang energy below, Jiang Xi only had one word left in his heart: super awesome. I can still split a portion of my attention to comprehend the Li Fire Dao rhymes here. Jiang Xi realized that he still had the energy to think about his messy matters while refining the yang energy. Therefore, he hurriedly focused on comprehending the Li Fire Dao rhymes. Since he was already here, he could not waste such a good opportunity. When he began to comprehend it, the Li Fire Daoist rhyme that permeated the inheritance altar did not approach him like it did with the Wen siblings. In other words, it was more difficult for him to comprehend it because of the bloodline. The blood restriction Li Fire array, as the name suggested, was related to bloodline. After all, this was the legacy of the Wen family. The Li Fire Dao runes here were closer to the Wen family members. This formation is truly magical. After Jiang Xi understood this, he didn't think too much about it. This formation was recorded in his inherited memories. He could slowly study it when he returned. Subsequently, he focused on refining the baleful yang energy while comprehending the Li Fire Dao runes. About a quarter of an hour later, Jiang Xi suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the steps of the inheritance altar. There came the sound of rapid footsteps. Only then did the Wen siblings notice the abnormality. They also looked in the direction of the footsteps. 4 figures appeared. Qiao Xian, Zhang Yuqing, Feng Sai, and Fu Zai had caught up. After they ascended the inheritance altar, they immediately saw Jiang Xi and the other 2 sitting cross-legged. Some people's eyes were filled with killing intent as they directly attacked. Between Qiao Xian and Fu Zai, one struck out a blazing palm print, while the other unsheathed his twin sabers and slashed out in a crisscross manner. Palm prints, saber lights, and domain power set off an energy storm. The destructive attacks attacked Jiang Xi and the other 2. However, at that moment, the inheritance altar blazed with fire. The 2's attacks were instantly reduced to nothingness. At the same time, the Li Fire Dao runes seemed to have gained sentience. They turned into wisps of flames and landed on their bodies. Oh no! There's a Dao integration expert's martial law here. Their expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly circulated their spirit energy to resist the punishment of the flames. Then, they realized that using the energy of the Dao crystal was even more effective. Hence, they quickly refined the Dao crystal. As for the other 2, Feng Sai and Zhang Yuqing did not make a move. They came from top immortal Dao sects. Naturally, they knew that there were many taboos in the inheritance grounds of Dao integration experts. The most common taboos were that they couldn't fight or scold others. Feng Sai and Zhang Yuqing looked at Jiang Xi and the other 2 in surprise. It seemed that these 3 late-stage golden core cultivators of unknown origins were also aware of these taboos. This was because Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings had not made any moves from the beginning. Even when faced with Qiao Xian and Fu Zai's sudden attack, they watched quietly. The 2 were even more curious about the origins of Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings. Could they be genius disciples from other top immortal Dao sects in the Xixiao region? There was no answer. They watched as Qiao Xian and Fu Zai desperately refined the Dao crystal and used the energy of the Dao runes to expel the flames on their bodies. Jiang Xi's expression was indifferent. However, the Wen siblings were in a good mood. Wasn't fighting at the inheritance altar the same as courting death? The punishment here, especially for non-Wen family members, was even harsher. Fortunately, the 2 attackers were both late-stage nascent soul cultivators. Moreover, they were top nascent soul cultivators. Otherwise, they would have been burned to ashes by the flames of the Li Fire Dao runes. Qiao Xian and Fu Zai took 10 minutes to expel the flames of the Li Fire Dao runes from their bodies. Their expressions were gloomy. They were furious and distressed. Not only had they wasted time, but they had also used up a total of 50,000 Dao crystals. They once again looked at Jiang Xi and the other 2 on the other side of the inheritance altar. At this time, Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings had already closed their eyes to continue comprehending the Li Fire Dao runes in order not to waste time. These 3 dogs. Qiao Xian cursed. He wanted to kill them, but he held himself back. The next moment, the Li Fire Dao runes around him turned into wisps of flames again and landed on his body. Qiao Xian's expression changed again. He hurriedly took out his Dao crystal and refined it frantically. Then, he used up another 50,000 Dao crystals. He originally had close to 250,000 Dao crystals. After the two punishments, he was left with less than 150,000. Qiao Xian was very careful and did not dare to make any more moves. If he violated any more taboos and used up all his Dao crystals, he would have no fate with the inheritance. Feng Sai, Zheng Yuqing, and Fu Zai, who had just been punished, were all secretly rejoicing they no longer paid attention to Jiang Xi and the other two and began to observe the situation of the inheritance altar. After looking around, they realized that the dark red inheritance altar was extremely smooth and there was nothing particularly obvious about it. However, the four of them still noticed some differences. This place is similar to some of the Dao integration inheritance grounds recorded in the sect. By comprehending the Dao runes here, one can comprehend the inheritance left behind by a Dao integration expert. Feng Sai and Zheng Yuqing had read many ancient books in their respective sects. They were more familiar with such situations and quickly confirmed some of the details of the inheritance altar. The patriarch once said that comprehending the Dao runes would open the door. Although I don't know what the door is, the Dao runes must be the key. Qiao Xian's eyes shone. He recalled a spiritual consciousness exchange with the patriarch many years ago. The only abnormality is that the Dao runes of the heaven and earth Dao are denser here. It seems that comprehending the Dao runes is the key to obtaining the inheritance of that Dao integration expert. Although Fu Zai did not have any family inheritance or master, he had also grasped the key with his many years of experience exploring dangerous places in the universe. The four of them each had their own thoughts. Then, they each found a spot on the inheritance altar and began to comprehend the Li Fire Dao runes here. Nobody noticed the abnormality beneath Jiang Xi's buttocks. That was because the malevolent yang energy that surged up was completely absorbed and refined by Jiang Xi and did not dissipate. Furthermore, nobody would have thought that such a precious item would be sealed here. Therefore, Jiang Xi refined the malevolent yang energy in peace as his golden core transformed rapidly. At the same time, he was comprehending the Li Fire Dao runes. Time passed by and the gigantic inheritance altar was silent. 6 hours later, the silence was broken. Chapter 273. The one who broke the silence was the dignified and gentle elder sister of the Wen family, Wen Yuxian. More and more Li Fire Dao runes circled around Wen Yuxian. The Dao runes seemed to have been captured and attracted inexplicably. All of them entered Wen Yuxian's body and spread out. There seemed to be no change in the process. However, after this process, Wen Yuxian's body silently exuded the aura of a domain. This aura was extremely similar to the Li Fire Dao runes. Li Fire domain. Jiang Xi opened his eyes and smiled when he sensed this aura. One of the Wen family siblings had already succeeded in comprehending it. Both of them had comprehended fire-related Dao true intent to begin with. Now, Wen Yuxian had used the Li Fire Dao runes here to comprehend the Li Fire domain. Sister. Wen Feng was pleasantly surprised. He did not speak, afraid that he would disturb Wen Yuxian. Wen Yuxian was in the midst of an epiphany. The Li Fire Dao runes that seemed to have spirituality were helping her complete the condensation of her Dao domain. In the distance, the gazes of Qiao Xian and the others were also attracted by this scene. She comprehended it so quickly. Impossible. How many hours has it been? Although the Dao runes of the heaven and earth Dao left behind by that Dao integration expert are extremely dense here, even the geniuses of the Dao Alliance's 3 sects and 6 sects wouldn't be able to comprehend it in such a short time. Feng Sai, Fu Zai, and Zheng Yuqing were all in disbelief. Although Qiao Xian did not speak, his eyes were extremely sinister. He had a guess in his heart. There's another possibility. She's the inheritor of that Dao integration expert's bloodline. The other two must also be remnants of the Wen family. Qiao Xian glanced at Jiang Xi and Wen Feng. Previously, The Chow family had sent more than 50 Golden Core clansmen to hunt down a male cultivator suspected to be a remnant of the Wen family. However, all of them died. That man happened to be a late-stage Golden Core. Chow Xian locked his gaze on Jiang Ci, a late-stage Golden Core cultivator with a complete Dao domain. With such strength, he can easily kill more than 50 Golden Core cultivators. There were not so many coincidences in the world. He quickly connected the dots. The three before him must be the remnants of the Wen family. The Wen clan's inheritance was naturally prepared for the Wen clan's bloodline. Otherwise, the young lady would not have been able to comprehend the Daoist rhymes here so quickly. Moreover, when they came up just now, these three people were unscathed, as if they already knew about this place. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a remnant of the Wen family, it would have been impossible for him to be so familiar with the situation of the Dao integration stage inheritance ground. Chen Ph, a mere late-stage Golden Core cultivator. Even if he obtains the inheritance, he needs to be alive to leave this place. This is the perfect opportunity to exterminate the remnants of the Wen family. Chow Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. With that in mind, he sent a message to his son, Chow Sui, who was guarding the edge of the Sea of Fire. He asked Chow Sui to lead his men to guard the entire core area. Meanwhile, the Li Fire domain that spread out from Wen Yoxin's body became more and more condensed as it rapidly took shape. Suddenly, the smooth surface of the inheritance altar around her lit up with complicated formation runes. When Yushin woke up with a start, she only saw Jiang Ci nodding towards her. Then she disappeared in a flash of light. Chow Xian and the others were stunned by this scene. What was going on? Feng Sai from the Tsungyun sect and Zheng Yuqing from the Four Symbols sect quickly reacted. That flash of light was the same as the teleportation array. Could there be another paradise? Was the inheritance there? One could enter after comprehending the Dao rhymes here. The two of them looked at each other and thought of the same thing. However, they did not say anything and continued to comprehend. She opened the door that the patriarch spoke of. Chow Xian's eyes turned even colder. As expected, comprehending the Dao rhymes here is the key. Fu Zai confirmed his guess. Compared to them, Jiang Ci was not surprised. When Yushin had comprehended the Li Fire Dao rhymes and naturally opened the door to receive the true inheritance. Between the Wen siblings, Wen Feng's comprehension ability was obviously weaker. It would probably take some time for him to comprehend something. Or, if his comprehension ability was worse, he would not be able to comprehend it at all. All in all, after 6 hours, more than half of the 30,000 Dao crystals on Wen Feng had been used up. Therefore, Jiang Ci gave Wen Feng another 30,000 Dao crystals. Wen Feng was once again extremely grateful. As long as he followed his uncle-granduncle, there was no need to ask about food and drink. Jiang Ci merely shook his head and chuckled. He still had more than 200,000 Dao crystals on him. Regardless of whether he could comprehend the Li Fire Dao rhymes, it was enough to support him in refining the Yang malevolent power. With 1,000 times faster Golden Core nurturing speed, he would only need 3 days to complete the transformation. I can only split a portion of my attention to comprehend the Li Fire Dao rhymes here. Let's see if I can comprehend it within these 3 days. Jiang Ci closed his eyes once more and calmed his heart to comprehend carefully. He did not have too many demands for the inheritance of the Duo Wen family. His goal was clear: he was here for the Yang malevolent power. If he used all his attention to comprehend the Li Fire Dao rhymes and failed, it would be all for naught. Just like that, another 8 hours passed. Wen Feng's aura also changed. The Li Fire Dao rhymes were attracted by him and drilled into his body before spreading out. The difference in talent and comprehension ability was reflected here. The Li Fire domain that spread out from Wen Feng's body condensed at a very slow speed. It took a long time before it was truly formed. Finally, the power of the domain that was released was clearly not as strong as Wen Yoxin's. The advancement was complete. Thereafter, he vanished in a flash of light as well. This time, Chow Xian and the other three's expressions did not change as drastically as before. In fact, Feng Sai and Zheng Yuqing were still casually guessing how long Jiang Ci would take to comprehend the Dao rhymes here. Qiao Xian was even more certain that the 3 late-stage golden core cultivators were definitely remnants of the Wen family. After a day, Qiao Xian and the others had yet to comprehend it successfully. The 4 of them were puzzled because Jiang Xi had yet to succeed as well. That was strange. In their opinion, since Jiang Xi possessed a complete Dao domain to begin with, shouldn't his talent and comprehension ability be even stronger? Why was he the slowest instead? How could they know that only a portion of Jiang Xi's attention was focused on comprehending the Li Fire Dao rhymes? The rest of his attention was focused on refining the Yang malevolent power. However, for people like Qiao Xian and Fu Zai, the puzzlement only flashed through their minds and they did not think too much about Jiang Xi. That was because with the number of Dao crystals they had, they could only last less than 2 days in the blood-forbidden Li Fire array. Now that more than half the time had passed, they could only leave if they still did not comprehend it. Every second mattered. Soon, it was the 3rd hour of the 2nd day. Hey! Jiang Xi's heart skipped a beat. He felt that he had suddenly formed a connection with the Li Fire Dao rhymes that filled the sky. Some aura of the Li Fire true intent spread out from his body. He had also comprehended it. Chapter 274. Jiang Xi was pleasantly surprised. This was truly an unexpected gain. The Li Fire Dao rhymes that were filled with spirituality circled around his body, helping him condense the first wisp of Dao intent. In just a moment, the first wisp of Dao intent was successfully condensed. You have comprehended the Li Fire true intent, experience points plus 100,000. The experience panel prompt sounded at the right time. Upon hearing this, Jiang Xi reacted quickly. He ignored the complicated gazes of Qiao Xian and the others as he continuously formed hand seals and slapped the surface of the inheritance altar. Beneath his buttocks, the formation runes used to release Yang fiendish qi instantly disappeared. Jiang Xi heaved a sigh of relief. Almost at the same time, another formation rune appeared on the surface of the altar around him. The light of teleportation appeared. River Word didn't resist this teleportation power, and his figure disappeared. Qiao Xian and the others were left behind as they looked at the place where Jiang Xi disappeared with complicated expressions. There was only a barren area. They did not discover the formation runes used to release Yang Qi. After cultivating for so many years, the 4 of them knew the importance of time. They quickly adjusted their emotions and continued to comprehend. The space changed. Jiang Xi appeared in an even hotter space, as if he was being roasted in a furnace. This is the 2nd grotto heaven hidden in the Qianyang grotto heaven mentioned by Master in his inherited memories, the true ancestral land of the Wen family. He looked around. This space was not big, only tens of thousands of square meters. Countless complicated formation runes were engraved on the ground. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. The true blood seal, Li Fire formation. Is that the core of the blood seal, Li Fire formation? Jiang Xi's gaze was locked in front of him. A wisp of strange dark red flame floated in the middle of the formation runes. Li Fire. The wisp of Li Fire that the Wen family's ancestor, Wen Yang, had left behind. The shocking heat here was emitted by the Li Fire. There was also a faint charm that was in harmony with heaven and earth that spread from the wisp of Li Fire. It was intoxicating and frightening. At this time, when Yushin and Wen Feng were sitting cross-legged in the blood seal, Li Fire formation, their hands were grasping the Wen family's ancestral seal unsealing technique. Of course, it was Jiang Xi who gave it to them later. The Wen clan's ancestral unsealing method had long been lost during their escape. That wisp of Li Fire was being guided by the Wen siblings' unsealing technique. It was splitting into wisps of pure Li Fire and slowly entering their bodies. It was obvious that their Li Fire domain was rapidly growing stronger. At the same time, other inexplicable information was transmitted to their minds through the tiny wisps of Li Fire. The so-called inheritance was not as simple as the Tao of Fire. The siblings' minds were completely immersed in the inheritance, so they did not notice Jiang Xi's arrival. Jiang Xi realized that they were not continuing to refine the Tao crystal. As expected, entering the 2nd paradise is equivalent to passing the test and gaining recognition. I don't have to worry about the threat of the blood-forbidden Li fire formation anymore. Otherwise, with the number of Dao crystals that the Wen siblings possessed, they would have been used up long ago after such a long time. Right now, the two of them were still peacefully receiving their inheritances. However, to be cautious, Jiang Xi still felt it carefully. The Li fire Dao runes that filled this space were 100 times denser than on the inheritance altar. However, the Li fire Dao runes here were not offensive. Jiang Xi was relieved and immediately stopped refining the Dao crystal. Then, he did not disturb the Wen siblings. His figure swayed slightly and he quietly arrived near the Li fire. The yang fiendish qi is sealed right below this wisp of Li fire. It can be released and absorbed here. With that thought, Jiang Xi formed tens of thousands of seals again and slapped them on the array runes below. Immediately, the yang fiendish qi surged up endlessly. Jiang Xi directly used the yin-yang nourishment technique to absorb and refine the yang fiendish qi. The speed of the golden core's nourishment increased by 1,000 times again. Earlier on the inheritance altar, his golden core had already completed half of its nourishment. Now that there was enough time, there was no need to worry about not having enough Dao crystals. When the golden core completely transformed, it would be over. Jiang Xi focused part of his attention on the nourishment of his golden core. At the same time, he looked at the wisp of Li fire compared to this wisp of Li fire condensed from the Dao of Li fire. The Li fire Dao runes on the inheritance altar is simply child's play. I'm not a member of the Wen family. I wonder if I can absorb and comprehend the Dao of Li fire using the Wen family's seal unsealing technique. At this point, Jiang Xi did not want to miss this opportunity. Immediately, he used the rest of his attention to form a complicated seal unsealing technique. Buzz! The wisp of dark red Li fire trembled slightly, as if it was resisting. Indeed, it recognized one's bloodline. Jiang Xi was a little disappointed. However, at this moment, the wisp of dark red Li fire separated into a tiny flame. It emitted a terrifying aura and charged towards Jiang Xi, as if it wanted to destroy Jiang Xi's soul. Fuck! Jiang Xi was shocked. While dodging, he hurriedly dispersed the seal unsealing technique. However, it was too late at such a close distance. It's over. The wisp of Li fire directly drilled into his mind. Unexpectedly, the wisp of Li fire suddenly became gentle again. As if it had discovered something, it circled around his mind. Jiang Xi was stunned for a moment. Did I discover Master's memory inheritance? Or did I discover the experience panel? He thought for a moment and left the former guess. The experience panel was mysterious. Back then, Daoist Ji's remnant spirit had entered his mind in order to pass on his memory, but it did not discover the existence of the experience panel. This was only Wen Yang's wisp of Li fire, so it was even more impossible to discover it. Thank you, Uncle Master Wen Yang. Jiang Xi bowed respectfully to the Li fire, expressing his respect to the Uncle Master that he had never met. After doing this, he began to comprehend and absorb the wisp of Li fire in his mind. Soon, he completed the comprehension. You have comprehended the Li fire inheritance, experience points plus 100,000, eh? Jiang Xi was stunned again. This scene was so familiar. When he was challenging the Ling Wan road on Earth, he had obtained similar experience point. That was the inheritance of the Gale Path. Jiang Xi was overjoyed. This was an unexpected surprise. 100,000 experience points each time. Moreover, because of his master's memory inheritance, the Li fire no longer resisted him. He could complete the comprehension and absorption in almost a minute. His experience points increased rapidly. As for the wisp of Li fire, it was also shrinking, although the speed was very slow. Qianyang Grotto Heaven, Inheritance Altar. Qiao Xian and the other three had been on the inheritance altar for a day and a half. For example, Qiao Xian and Fu Zai had consumed a lot of doctrine crystals because of the previous punishment. If they could not comprehend anything else, they could only leave in disappointment. Therefore, the two of them were very anxious. At this moment, the power of a domain filled with vitality suddenly spread out. It was Fu Zai, the famous starry sky hunter of the Blue Star region, who had broken through. Chapter 275. Fu Zai shut his eyes tightly. The domain power that was suffused with vitality was constantly shrinking and changing. Its might was also gradually increasing. In just a moment, his Dao domain finally stabilized and perfected Dao charms spread out. Like a withered tree receiving a new lease of life, one could clearly sense the rich vitality from afar. A complete Dao domain. I've long heard that Fu Zai was at the perfected nascent soul realm. Now that his Dao domain is perfected, he is now invincible among the nascent soul realm. Qiao Xian, Feng Sai, and Zhang Yuqing were envious. Invincible among the nascent soul realm, the higher one's cultivation level, the more one could experience the power of being invincible among the same level. Especially after reaching the nascent soul realm, it was even more difficult to achieve that. As for situations where the weak defeated the strong, it was almost impossible to see among high-level cultivators. After all, those who could cultivate to the nascent soul realm and above were not weak. For example, Patriarch Qing Xian of the Pale Blue Star Zone was an expert who could defeat the strong despite being weak. He was famous throughout the Star Zone for that. However, what puzzled the trio was that after Fu Zai's Dao technique broke through, there was no movement from the inheritance altar. The teleportation that they imagined did not happen. Fu Zai was even more puzzled. He waited for a moment, but there was still no change. Could it be that only by comprehending the Dao technique left behind by this expert will I have the chance to receive the next inheritance? This thought surfaced in Fu Zai's mind as his expression changed. He thought that he only needed to form a connection with the Dao charms here. Therefore, he did not think of comprehending a new Dao technique. Instead, he used it to enhance his Dao domain. Fu Zai thought about it and could only sigh bitterly in the end. He did not have many Dao crystals left and had no time to comprehend a new Dao technique. I have neither a sect nor a master. After cultivating for 1,000 years, my cultivation level has long reached the perfected nascent soul realm. Now that my Dao domain is perfected, this trip is not completely fruitless. Although he was indignant, he could only console himself like that. As he did not have a master or a sect, his improvement in Dao technique comprehension was slower. Up until now, he had only comprehended 70% of the withered wood domain. The further one progressed in Dao technique comprehension, the more difficult it became. If not for this opportunity, it would probably take him another 500 years to cultivate the withered tree domain to the perfected realm. But now, he had used this place to achieve his goal ahead of time. It could be said that he had gained something. At that thought, Fu Zai stood up and cupped his fists at Qiao Xian, Feng Sai, and Zhang Yuqing. Fellow Taoists, I'll take my leave first. Qiao Xian and the other two also cupped their hands in congratulations. As for why Fu Zai did not enter the next stage of the inheritance after successfully comprehending it, they all had their own guesses. Perhaps Fu Zai's Dao technique is not suitable for this heritage, thought Qiao Xian. It was obvious that the Dao of heaven and earth left behind by the Wen family's ancestor was related to fire. Those three Aurus core stage cultivators had comprehended fire-related Dao arts. As for Fu Zai's Dao domain, it suffused rich vitality. It obviously didn't meet this requirement. My Dao technique is the blazing flame domain. In this aspect, I should have a huge advantage. Qiao Xian was filled with confidence. Feng Sai and Qiao Xian looked at each other again. They seemed to have thought of something, but didn't say it out loud. Then, the three of them continued to comprehend the Li Fire Dao runes. On the other side, after Fu Zai obtained a complete Dao domain, his speed increased as he rapidly passed through the blood-forbidden Li Fire Array's Sea of Fire. At the edge of the Sea of Fire, the ordinary cultivators had either fled or died. They were nowhere to be seen. Only the 1,000-odd cultivators from the Qiao family, Zhangyun sect, and Four Symbols sect remained. These people did not stop Fu Zai. This was because they had already received the message from Qiao Xian and company. They were not to stop him. He was an invincible nascent soul expert. If he was truly angered, they would not be enough to kill him even if they joined forces. Fu Zai carried his twin sabers on his back. After leaving the core region, he chose not to leave the Qianyang Grotto heaven. He turned around and stood guard at the edge of the sea of fire. His gaze was fixed on the majestic inheritance altar. Those 3 late-stage Aurus core stage cultivators have all entered the next stage of the inheritance. From the looks of it, they do know something. Treasures in this world belong to the strong. Perhaps I can obtain the final true heritage through them. Fu Zai had roamed the cosmos for hundreds of years. He was a powerful space hunter who believed in strength. He had given up at the inheritance altar because he had no other choice. The Tao integration inheritance was the greatest opportunity he had encountered since he started cultivating. He could not give up until the very end. Qiao Xian tried his best to remain calm and suppress the anxiety in his heart. He allowed himself to fully comprehend the Li Fire Tao runes. The reason why he was anxious was because he did not have many Tao crystals left. When he was left with only 10,000 Tao crystals. Suddenly, his expression lit up. The spiraling Li Fire Tao runes were drawn into his body by his guidance. He had also succeeded in comprehending. The blazing fire domain spread out. With the help of the Li Fire Tao runes, it shrank and increased continuously, rapidly approaching the perfected realm. In just a moment, the blazing fire domain, which was similar to the aura of Li Fire, emitted an even more scorching aura. A complete Tao domain. Another invincible nascent soul expert. Feng Sai and Zheng Yuqing exchanged a bitter smile. Everyone else had broken through while the two of them, geniuses from top immortal Tao sects, fell behind. Qiao Xian was overjoyed as he waited for the teleportation to arrive. However, nothing happened after a while. His expression changed. Why? I clearly comprehended a fire-related Tao technique. Must I comprehend the exact same Tao technique as the Wen family patriarch to be qualified to receive the true inheritance? Many years ago, when he communicated with his patriarch through spiritual consciousness, the patriarch did not mention this. Damn it! Qiao Xian roared indignantly as the powerful blazing fire raged around him. He still wanted to use the Wen family's inheritance to break through to the essence soul realm. However, being invincible in the nascent soul realm was not his goal. However, he was now facing the same problem as Fu Zai. There was not enough time left. With 10,000 Tao crystals, it was almost impossible for him to comprehend a new Tao technique. Although he was indignant, Qiao Xian did not dare to vent his anger here for fear of violating the taboo. There's still a chance to obtain the final inheritance through the 3 Wen family remnant. Qiao Xian left with a final glimmer of hope. However, Feng Sai and Zheng Yuqing were deep in thought. They had previously read about similar Tao integration inheritances in the ancient books of their sect. Through the success of the 3 golden core cultivators and the failure of Fu Zai and Qiao Xian, they already had a definite answer in their hearts. So what if I'm indignant? If I can't even comprehend the Tao technique left behind by this expert, how can I accept his inheritance? The inheritance is also a selection process to choose a suitable successor. Apart from bloodline, it might also require talent, physique, Tao techniques, etc., to be compatible. They kept such guesses to themselves. Everyone was here for the opportunity, so they naturally could not say it out loud. Chapter 276. These 2 geniuses from the top immortal Tao sects had long considered this. Therefore, they had been carefully comprehending the Tao runes here from the start, attempting to comprehend the Tao techniques left behind by a Tao integration expert. They did not perfect their Tao domains like Qiao Xian and Fu Zai. There's still a chance. Although Feng Sai and Zheng Yuqing were anxious, they controlled their emotions well. A Tao crystal could last for 1 second. Both of them had more than 200,000 Tao crystals at the start. In other words, they could last for more than 2 days here. Now that 2 days had not passed, they still had a chance. As the saying went, hard work would definitely be rewarded. It was just a matter of how much. Soon, the 2 days were over. It was the 3rd hour of the 3rd day. Feng Sai and Zheng Yuqing did not have many Tao crystals left either. At this moment, their hard work was finally rewarded. The 2 of them succeeded at almost the same time. The wisps of Li Fire Tao runes danced joyfully, emitting a shocking aura as they condensed the true intent of Li Fire. The 2 of them were overjoyed. They had succeeded at the last moment. A moment later, the true intent of Lee Fire was formed. Runes of teleportation spell formations appeared around them. Crack, crack, crack. However, at this moment, terrifying cracks appeared on the magnificent inheritance altar. The ground shook as if it was about to collapse. The surrounding sea of fire shook violently, its aura weakening and about to be extinguished. A destructive aura spread from the depths of the inheritance altar. What's going on? This place is going to be destroyed. I haven't received the inheritance yet. This is the inheritance ground of a Dao integration expert. It's indestructible. At the edge of the sea of fire, more than 1,000 cultivators from the Qiao family, Zhongyun sect, and Four Symbols sect surrounded the core area. Qiao Xian and Fu Zai, the two new invincible nascent soul experts, stood guard in two different directions. They were all waiting. Since they could not obtain the inheritance of a Dao integration expert through the inheritance altar, then, he would obtain this opportunity from those 3 golden core stage cultivators. At this moment, they noticed a huge commotion in the sea of fire in front of them. As if there was a gust of wind, the shockingly powerful flames shook violently as if they were about to be extinguished. Some rose tens of thousands of feet high, while others sank to only an inch. At the same time, the earth was trembling. The inheritance altar is about to collapse. Someone exclaimed. Amidst the sea of fire, the inheritance altar that covered an area of more than 100 square kilometers was cracking and collapsing. A powerful destructive aura swept out and spread throughout the entire Chenyang cave. Huff huff, the shocking power of the sea of flames instantly vanished. They're coming out. Qiao Xian and Fu Zai's eyes lit up. At the same time, he flew out. Let's go back in time a little. It was the 18th hour of the second day after everyone ascended the inheritance altar. In the Chenyang heavenly abode, the second heavenly abode that was like a furnace. The wisp of Li fire floating in the center of the blood-forbidden Li fire formation had already shrunk by half. The Wen siblings opened their eyes at the same time, ending the inheritance. The siblings were pleasantly surprised and were about to speak. Then, they saw that Jiang Xi was here as well. He seemed to be receiving an inheritance. The dignified and gentle Wen Yushin quickly shook her head at Wen Feng. He indicated that he should not disturb this young martial granduncle. Afterwards, the two of them communicated with each other through their spiritual senses. Big sister, what level has your Li fire domain reached? 60%. Big sister is still the best. I'm only at 30%. Not bad. The ancestor left behind a wisp of Li fire Dao with the intention of helping our clansmen improve their Dao techniques. However, even during our Wen clan's heyday, only the clansmen with top-notch comprehension had the opportunity to comprehend 30% or more of the Li fire domain during the inheritance. Wen Feng nodded. In comparison, his talent and comprehension weren't bad. The Dao technique inheritance is only secondary. What's important is that our Wen clan's artifact forging inheritance has finally returned. Wen Yushin said with a smile on her face. Wen Feng also smiled. The most important inheritance of the Wen clan, apart from the Dao techniques left behind by the ancestor, was artifact forging. 10,000 years ago, the Wen clan was a cultivator clan that was famous throughout the Xixiao region for its artifact forging. However, this inheritance had been severed after the clan was exterminated. The Wen clan had lost its foundation for its rise. Now, the siblings had regained this inheritance from the Li fire left behind by the ancestor. The future was promising. Suddenly, Wen Feng's gaze focused. He saw the Li fire that had shrunk by half. Big sister, why is the Li fire left behind by the ancestor so much smaller? Wen Yushin also looked at it and was stunned. The jade slip that they kept recorded that the wisp of Li fire left behind by the ancestor was indestructible and had the ability to recover on its own. The small amount that the two of them had absorbed and refined wouldn't have any effect on the Li fire. Then why was it so much smaller? At this moment, they noticed that the Li fire that had shrunk by half split off a tiny dark red flame and drilled into Jiang Xi's mind. A minute later, the same scene appeared again. So fast. The siblings were shocked. When they received the inheritance just now, It took them more than an hour to completely refine and absorb a wisp of Li fire. However, Jiang Xi only used a minute to complete the process. He was 60 times faster than them. Martial granduncle's talent and comprehension are so terrifying, the two of them exclaimed. No wonder the Li fire was consumed so quickly. If this continued, the Li fire would be sucked dry by this young martial granduncle. The feelings of the Wen siblings were somewhat complicated. If this wisp of Li fire was gone, then the Wen family's inheritance would also be gone. If it's gone, then it's gone. Even if this land of inheritance still exists, it won't fall into our hands. It will only benefit others. Wen Yushin said. Yes, martial granduncle is not an outsider. After all, Ancestor GE is also the creator of the land of inheritance. Wen Feng nodded the siblings' side and quietly watched Jiang Xi absorb and refine the Li fire. After the inheritance, the two of them could have left through the teleportation array in this space. However, now that they saw Jiang Xi enter, they wanted to wait for Jiang Xi to leave together. What is that vigorous energy? Wen Yushin discovered a wisp of yang qi that was escaping from Jiang Xi's body. I'm not sure. It's not recorded in the jade slip. Wen Feng was also surprised. The two of them realized that they couldn't see through this young martial granduncle anymore. Mysterious origin, terrifying talent, terrifying strength. Just like that, another hour passed. Jiang Xi's body suddenly shook. The endless stream of yang qi dissipated in an instant. At the same time, some nascent soul stage aura appeared on his body. He had completed the nurturing of the golden core. The golden core had completely transformed and could form the nascent soul at any time, becoming a nascent soul cultivator. Eating 10,000-year-old spiritual fruits as fruits. Wen Yushin was even more surprised because Jiang Xi had taken out one in the dark market before. 10,000-year-old spiritual fruits were priced at 10,000 low-grade spirit crystals in Murong Planet's cultivation world. Moreover, there was a price but no supply. Now, their martial uncle casually threw one to each of them. He was a little rich. You're welcome. Jiang Xi smiled. Then, he snorted and ate one of them. The taste was very good. It was refreshing and delicious, especially relieving the heat. Of course, his actions were just a cover for the next level up. Feeling the huge amount of spiritual energy filling his body, Jiang Xi began to quickly level up the true meaning of Li fire. In order to prevent the Wen siblings from noticing the abnormality, he deliberately slowed down the speed of improvement. Originally, it would only take 10 minutes, but he used half an hour to complete the process. True meaning of Li fire, 500,000,500,000, perfection. After the golden core completed the transformation, the strength of spiritual energy doubled. Coupled with the Gale domain, sword intent, and true meaning of Li fire, it should not be much different from an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator, right? Jiang Xi's confidence doubled. He left Earth and stepped into the starry sky again in order to reach the nascent soul stage and then have the strength to contend with an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. He did not expect that after accidentally comprehending the true meaning of Li fire, he would now achieve this goal in advance. Subsequently, Jiang Xi put all his energy into refining and absorbing the Li fire inheritance. That wisp of Li fire was constantly shrinking. At this time, Jiang Xi still did not know that two invincible nascent soul stage cultivators had been born on the inheritance altar. And these two people were guarding them outside. Just like that, 6 hours passed and the second day ended. The yang qi that was sealed here was finally completely released. The golden core of the Wen siblings, after being rapidly nourished by the yang qi, was also stronger than before and took a big step toward the nascent soul stage. The siblings were overjoyed and at the same time, were full of gratitude to Jiang Xi. Their changes were all brought about by their grand uncle. Originally, they did not even have the opportunity to enter the ancestral land of inheritance. But since the appearance of their grand uncle, they successfully came to the ancestral land of inheritance. Not only did they obtain the family's inheritance that had been lost for thousands of years, but they also refined this incomparably precious yang qi. Time passed, And soon it was the 3rd hour of the 3rd day. Puff! There seemed to be a soft sound. The wisp of Li fire that had not been extinguished for thousands of years completely disappeared. The last wisp of dark red flame was also absorbed by Jiang Ci. Li fire was exhausted. At this time, Jiang Ci suddenly opened his eyes, full of horror. He felt that there was a destructive aura that was surging up from the ground. Get out of here quickly. Jiang Ci did not even think about it and wrapped the Wen siblings in the Gale domain. He flew toward the teleportation array that they had just used to come to the second grotto heaven. But at this time, suddenly, a scene that seemed like the destruction of heaven and earth appeared. Rumble. The space of the second grotto heaven shook violently, as if it was about to collapse. The ground was cracking, and the runes of the blood prohibition Li fire array were also damaged. The array was about to break. In the shocking cracks, fiery red earth core lava was violently churning. It emitted a destructive aura that would break the seal of the blood prohibition Li fire array at any time and spurt out. Jiang Ci and the Wen siblings had just arrived at the teleportation array when they saw this scene. They were all shocked. Because this was not ordinary earth core lava. After being immersed in the Tao of Li fire for thousands of years, this lava also had some of the power of Li fire. But even if it was just a little, it was not something that golden core and nascent soul stage cultivators could resist. Quick, quick, quick. Jiang Ci hurriedly made a hand seal to activate the teleportation array. In a flash of light, the 3 of them disappeared. Chapter 278. At the same time, cracks that were a foot wide appeared on the inheritance altar and it was on the verge of collapse. The surrounding sea of fire was extinguished rapidly as well. Feng Sai and Zheng Yuqing had bitter expressions on their faces. They had just succeeded in comprehending the Tao runes here and condensed the Tao technique left behind by that Tao integration expert. They were about to receive the true inheritance. However, they did not expect the inheritance altar to be on the verge of collapse. This situation made them extremely bewildered. The inheritance ground of a Tao integration expert was indestructible as long as it was not destroyed by external forces. Could it be because the 3 of them had already received the inheritance? Was this place going to self-destruct? Suddenly, a formation rune appeared in a part of the collapsing inheritance altar that was still intact. 3 figures appeared amidst the light of teleportation. It's the 3 golden core cultivators. Feng Sai and Zheng Yuqing's eyes lit up. Even though they did not have the chance to receive the inheritance, they could still obtain it from the 3 of them. Both of them were mid-stage nascent souls and their Tao domains were more than 70% complete. Their combat strength was comparable to late-stage nascent souls. Dealing with these 3 puny late-stage golden core cultivators was as easy as squashing ants. Hand over the inheritance and we'll spare your lives. Zhang Yuqing hollered coldly. Feng Sai's gaze turned cold as killing intent surfaced. Their domain powers were accompanied by immense spirit energy as they transformed into gigantic palms that reached out to grab Jiang Ci and the other 2. Are you that confident? Jiang Ci laughed. The moment he was teleported out, he was prepared to strike. The Gale domain spread out and blocked Feng Sai and Zheng Yuqing's gigantic palms. At the same time, he formed fist seals with both hands. The true intent of Li fire in his left hand and the true intent of sword in his right. The gigantic fist seals with shocking might smashed towards the 2 of them. After his golden core transformed, the strength of his spirit energy had doubled. Against nascent souls, his foundation was no longer as weak as before. Furthermore, the cultivation of these 2 opponents were only at mid-stage nascent souls. Jiang Ci was not afraid at all. Boom boom boom. On the inheritance altar that was on the verge of collapse, a gale raged and energy surged. Feng Sai and Zheng Yuqing's expressions changed. They did not expect this late-stage golden core cultivator to be so powerful. Us too. The Wen siblings attacked as well. Both of them had comprehended the Li fire domain in the inheritance. Right now, one of them was comparable to a mid-nascent soul cultivator while the other was comparable to an early-nascent soul cultivator. The inheritance of a Tao integration expert was not as simple as it seemed. The two Li fire domains layered over each other. The Wen clan siblings instantly attacked together. In addition, Jiang Xi threw another punch. The powerful aura shocked Feng Sai and Zhang Yuqing. They hurriedly retreated to avoid the combined attack of the three. These three late-stage gold core realm cultivators were too fierce. "Don't fight!" Jiang Xi shouted. The earth was trembling, and the inheritance altar was shaking violently. The blood-forbidden Li fire formation had been unsealed following the destruction of the second paradise. The surrounding sea of fire had lost its original power. Jiang Xi sensed that many figures with astonishing auras were rapidly approaching this place. Once he was surrounded, he would not be able to escape. "Retreat!" Jiang Xi swung his sword and attacked. A perfected true intent of the sword wasn't any weaker than a Dao domain that had just been comprehended. Furthermore, because of the existence of the Gale domain, the power of the true intent of departing fire became even stronger. The fire borrowed the power of the wind, and the wind enhanced the power of the fire. With the three combined, the sword instantly reached the level of an invincible nascent soul realm cultivator. The powerful sword caused Feng Sai and Zhang Yuqing's expressions to change drastically. They hurriedly retreated, no longer daring to block Jiang Xi's group. After Jiang Xi broke free from their entanglement, he hurriedly activated the Gale domain to the maximum and led the Wen clan siblings away from this place. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, thousands of figures flew over from all directions. They were surrounded. There were the Qiao clan, the Tsungyun sect, and the Four Symbols sect. There was also the lone starry sky wanderer, Fu Zai. Fu Zai and Qiao Xian were the fastest. They surrounded them from two different directions. The aura of spirit power and domain power they emitted shocked Jiang Xi. There are actually two invincible nascent soul realm cultivators. I can't fight them head-on. In this emergency situation, Jiang Xi remained calm and quickly observed his surroundings. In an instant, he saw the Qiao clan's young master, Qiao Sui, and nearly 100 Qiao clan golden core cultivators coming from another direction. The scene of Qiao Sui leading 800 golden core cultivators to attack him again and again was still vivid in his mind. Kill. Jiang Xi wanted to break through from there. Under the perfected Gale domain, even with the Wen clan siblings, his speed far exceeded that of a late-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. Whoosh. With a light wave of his sword, three types of Dao techniques converged. A terrifying aura comparable to an invincible nascent soul realm cultivator suddenly spread. Sui, be careful. Qiao Xian's expression changed drastically. He immediately shouted a warning. However, his voice was not as fast as Jiang Xi's sword. The strange sword, accompanied by a gust of wind, seemed to be able to pierce through space. With a destructive intent, it instantly arrived in front of Qiao Sui and the 100 golden core cultivators. Qiao Sui's eyes widened in horror. He was only a mid-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. In the face of this extremely fast sword, he had no time to form a defensive move. Whoosh, with a sweep of the sword, Qiao Sui and the 100 golden core cultivators were cut in half. Instant kill. Ah! Scum of the Wen clan. Qiao Xian's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. The son that he valued the most had been killed. In his anger, Qiao Xian's speed suddenly increased by 30%, and he instantly caught up with Jiang Xi. He was an invincible nascent soul realm cultivator, and his speed was only slightly slower than Jiang Xi's. In addition, Jiang Xi's sword just now had delayed him. Therefore, the distance between him and Jiang Xi was shortened. He swung his sword, wrapped in the blazing flame domain, and attacked Jiang Xi danger. Jiang Xi did not dare to be careless and swung his sword once again. Boom! The sword and saber collided instantly. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. A huge shockwave set off an energy storm that swept through the area. Several early-stage golden core cultivators were swept into the energy storm and their bodies exploded out of thin air. Such terrifying power. At this time, the Wen clan siblings were also attacking. Their flame domain overlapped, and they had the strength to fight a late-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. They blocked most of the attacks from the other nascent soul realm cultivators. In this way, Jiang Xi could focus on dealing with the attacks of the other powerful cultivators. However, Qiao Xian's attack just now had slowed down Jiang Xi's speed again. At this time, Fu Zai caught up from another direction. This invincible nascent soul realm cultivator made the dual saber attack even more ferocious. 200-meter-long saber lights crossed and attacked. Although they were full of vitality, they were like blades of death. What a strange attack! River Word was extremely alarmed and once again used his strongest sword move. Gale Domain, Sword Intent, and Flame Domain. The huge sword shadow collided with the two saber lights. Boom! Under the fiery red sky, violent energy swept through. In addition, the earth was trembling violently, and the inheritance altar was about to collapse. It was as if the end of the world was coming. Chapter 279. This series of exchanges happened in the blink of an eye. It was extremely short. At this moment, a destructive aura surged up from the ground, breaking open the already cracked inheritance altar. A pillar of fire with a diameter of tens of thousands of meters soared into the sky with a blazing aura. With a rumble, the inheritance altar, which covered an area of hundreds of square kilometers, collapsed. A destructive storm erupted in an instant. Everyone was terrified and retreated as fast as they could. Some golden core cultivators and even late-stage golden core cultivators. Because they couldn't dodge in time, their bodies were annihilated by the destructive pillar of fire. Death upon contact. At this moment, Qiao Sui and the other golden core cultivators who blocked the way were all dead. The area in front of Jiang Xi was empty. Good chance. In such a terrifying situation, he didn't dare to stay any longer and turned to retreat. The spiritual power in his body surged, and the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered. The Gale Domain was instantly activated, and his speed was maximized. Whoosh! Jiang Xi quickly left with the Wen siblings. The people who came from the other three directions could only watch as the three figures disappeared into the horizon because they were blocked by the terrifying pillar of fire. Too fast. So fast. Fu Zai and the others were shocked. Wen clan. Damn the Wen clan. As for Qiao Xian, his eyes were bloodshot. The power of fire that surrounded his body was the same as his anger, blazing ferociously. As the saying went, he tried to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. He couldn't stop Jiang Xi and the others, and he even lost a son. Those three remnants of the Wen clan have the means to disguise themselves, but as long as they're on Murong planet, they can forget about escaping. The chill on Qiao Xian's body seemed to condense into water. He immediately sent a message to the nascent soul elders guarding the interstellar teleportation array to send more people and increase the strength of the blockade. None of the foreign cultivators should even think about leaving. At this moment, the entire core area of Qianyang Grotto Heaven was collapsing because of the pillar of fire. Shocking cracks were spreading in all directions. This place was going to be destroyed. No one dared to stay any longer and quickly rushed out of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. The outer ceiling array of Qianyang Grotto Heaven had long been unsealed. As long as they reached the border of the Grotto Heaven, they could rush out. The Blue Smoke Lake, the entrance to the Qianyang Cave, only covered an area of a few hundred square kilometers. However, the entire heavenly abode was incomparably huge, spanning over 1,000,000 square kilometers. Of course, with Jiang Xi's speed, he could cross thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye. With the Wen siblings in tow, he soon saw the heavenly abode barrier that was shrouded in thick fog. Without any hesitation, he passed through it. After Xiao Chen came out, he saw that the thick fog covering a radius of 150 kilometers around Blue Smoke Lake was churning intensely. This huge commotion was caused by the light beam of destruction below the inheritance altar. However, the Qianyang Grotto Heaven was created by the combined efforts of two Dao integration stage cultivators. It would not be destroyed just like that. However, the destructive beam of light was tainted with the Dao of Li fire, and its power was astonishing. The environment inside the Grotto Heaven would definitely be destroyed and turned into a purgatory. Leave Murong planet immediately. Jiang Xi didn't stop for even a moment. He rushed towards the escape routes that he had arranged in advance. This was something that he had discussed with the Wen siblings. The two of them were also willing to leave. At this moment, the three of them had already changed their appearance and aura through the upper-grade spiritual tool disguise mask. As long as they didn't make a move, their identities wouldn't be exposed. Strong winds howled. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Xi had brought the Wen siblings to Qianyang City, which was 150 kilometers away. In a quiet courtyard. With a wave of his hand, Jiang Xi stirred up a gust of wind and lifted up a part of the courtyard's ground by 3 feet. It revealed a small teleportation array that he had set up in advance. He had even placed the spirit crystals in advance. At the same time, he explained to the Wen siblings with a smile, through this teleportation array, you can reach the vicinity of the interstellar teleportation array on Murong planet. Great move, Uncle Granduncle, the siblings praised in unison. Jiang Xi smiled and made a hand seal to activate the teleportation array. He had set up 10 small teleportation arrays like this on Murong planet. 6 of them were near the interstellar teleportation array. He was fully prepared. In a flash of teleportation light, the 3 of them disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already thousands of kilometers away. At the same time, Qiao Xian and the other cultivators had just rushed out of the dense boundary of the Qianyang Grotto heaven. Looking around the blue smoke lake, it was empty. Apart from them, there was no one else to be seen. Previously, because Jiang Xi and the other 2 had suddenly rushed into the Sea of Fire, they had not been able to kill the ordinary cultivators. They didn't manage to kill all the ordinary cultivators in time. In the end, nearly 5,000 of them managed to escape. As for these 5,000 people, because the Qiao clan had sent people to seal off the interstellar teleportation array, they were unable to leave and were scattered all over Murong planet. Search the entire Murong planet. Find those 3 Wen clan bastard. Qiao Xian shouted at the Qiao clan cultivators. Immediately, several hundred golden core cultivators and 4 nascent soul cultivators of the Qiao clan rushed to various places on Murong planet. Not only that, but under his orders, the Qiao clan cultivators who had not entered the Qianyang Grotto heaven. As long as they had reached the golden core stage, they had been sent out to search the entire Murong planet. The Qiao clan's control over Murong planet's cultivation world had always been forceful and overbearing. They had records of the cultivators' identities and information from all over the planet. As for the interstellar teleportation array, Qiao Xian had already sent people to guard it. As long as someone tried to teleport out, no matter who it was, they would be immediately captured. Qiao Xian believed that through such a search, they would definitely be able to find the 3 Wen clan bastards who had escaped. Fellow Taoists, I'm very sorry that something like this has happened. Please cooperate and don't leave Murong planet for the time being. My Qiao clan will offer you generous gifts as an apology. Qiao Xian turned around and said to Fu Zai, Feng Sai, and Zheng Yuqing generous gifts. I don't need generous gifts. If you can capture those 3, I hope you can let me search their souls first. Fu Zai said in a low voice. Fellow Daoist Fu Zai has already answered for me. Zheng Yuqing smiled, his rugged face filled with shrewdness. I don't care if you search their souls or not. If your Qiao clan can obtain the true inheritance from those 3, just let me take a look. Feng Sai said. Qiao Xian's face was gloomy as he pondered. These 3 nascent soul cultivators were either invincible nascent soul cultivators or had shocking backgrounds. With the patriarch in seclusion, it would be difficult for the Qiao clan to resist the combined forces of these 3. Finally, he nodded and said, it's impossible to search their souls. If we can really obtain the inheritance, I can let you take a look. However, there's a condition. You have to swear an oath not to tell others about the inheritance. The 3 of them looked at each other, then smiled and nodded. Even the youngest among them, Feng Sai, was close to 300 years old. The oldest, Fu Zai, was close to 1,000 years old. It could be said that they were all experienced and ruthless people. Naturally, they knew that the fewer people who knew about such a powerful inheritance, the better. Following that, the cultivation world of Murong planet fell into turmoil and panic. Regardless of whether they were local cultivators or foreign cultivators who could not escape and could only sneak into various places, they were all searched. Although the local cultivators were panicking, As long as there was no problem with their identities, there was nothing to worry about. As for the foreign cultivators who had escaped earlier, they were all captured and sent to Blue Smoke Lake. Qiao Xian and the others waited quietly outside Qianyang City. However, just a minute after he issued the order for a global search, he received a message. The one who sent the message was the Qiao clan's nascent soul elder who was guarding the interstellar transportation array. After reading the message, Qiao Xian's expression changed drastically. Nascent soul cultivator? Chapter 280. A minute ago. In a valley about 100 miles away from the Murong interstellar teleportation array, there was a flash of teleportation light. Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings came here through the teleportation array. Then, the three of them hid themselves and climbed to the top of a 10,000-meter-tall mountain nearby, looking in the direction of the interstellar teleportation array. The interstellar teleportation array, which covered an area of 1 square kilometer, was located in a wasteland with a radius of 10 kilometers. Jiang Xi's spiritual sense was the strongest, so he quickly discovered that there were several interstellar teleportation arrays around. There were 4 powerful figures with nascent soul stage auras guarding the interstellar teleportation portal. One of them was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. In addition, there were thousands of golden core cultivators. If it's just dealing with these people, it won't be a problem at all. But after dealing with them, Qiao Xian and the others will definitely arrive here, and we won't have time to activate the teleportation array. Jiang Xi frowned in worry. The Qiao clan's reaction speed and decisiveness had somewhat exceeded his expectations. Martial Granduncle, why don't we hide for a while and leave when the Qiao clan's guards relax? Wen Feng suggested. That's not right. The Qiao clan won't give up so easily. With the Qiao clan's efficiency, they won't relax even if they guard it for thousands of years. Wen Yushin shook her head. Jiang Xi said, Yushin is right. Let's wait for an opportunity to act first. The Qiao clan was able to persist in their pursuit for more than 6,000 years in order to exterminate the Wen clan's bloodline. This was enough to prove the Qiao clan's style of doing things. Jiang Xi had just finished speaking. Suddenly, the situation changed and something unexpected happened. 100 miles away, the interstellar teleportation array lit up with a dazzling teleportation light. It was as if someone was teleporting from the distant stars. The thousands of Qiao clan cultivators near the teleportation array immediately became alert and surrounded the interstellar teleportation array. After 3 breaths, the dazzling light dissipated. A young man wearing a purple daoist robe and carrying a long sword appeared in front of everyone. There was a trace of malice on his handsome face. There seemed to be sword chi emanating from his sharp gaze. The sword chi faintly merged with heaven and earth. Purple Heaven Sect. On a mountain 10,000 meters away, Jiang Xi's gaze focused, and he hurriedly held his breath, lowering his aura to the lowest level, and completely retracted his spiritual sense. Even from 100 miles away, he didn't dare to use his eyes to observe the other party directly. He only used the corner of his eyes to look at the young man with a shocking aura. Because this young man from the Purple Heaven sect was a nascent soul cultivator, experts at this level could easily detect the situation within a range of several thousand kilometers with their spiritual senses. At the very top, their spiritual senses could even cover an entire planet. If he looked directly at the other party, it might alert the other party. Once he was discovered, he would be in big trouble. Under his signal, the Wen siblings also did the same. The 3 of them did not dare to make the slightest movement. He was afraid that he would attract the young man's attention. At the same time, the young man's primordial soul stage aura intimidated the thousands of cultivators in the Qiao family. No one dared to move. The late nascent soul stage Qiao family elder was even more shocked. This was because he recognized the young man's origin through the purple daoist robe. He quickly said respectfully, Murong Planet Controller Family Qiao Fei welcomes Senior. Has the Qianyang Heavenly Cave opened? The young man's voice was so cold that people couldn't help but tremble. Senior, it opened 3 days ago. The family head sent a message saying that there are 3 late golden core cultivators who are suspected to have obtained the inheritance. Moreover, The three of them are very skilled at disguising themselves. The family head is currently sending people to search for their tracks, the Chow family elder replied respectfully. A cold glint flashed in the young man's eyes as he said coldly, "Tell your family head to immediately gather all golden core and nascent soul cultivators on this planet here." All of them? The Chow family elder was stunned. Is there a problem? Yes. The late nascent soul stage Chow Fei didn't dare to raise any more questions and hurriedly sent a message to the family head, Chow Xian. In less than 5 minutes, Chow Xian, Feng Sai, Fu Zai, Zheng Yuqing, and thousands of other cultivators had arrived. They had rushed here from Chenyang City, which was 50,000 kilometers away. Seeing the young man's purple daoist robe, the expressions of Chow Xian and the others changed. Although they had already received the message, seeing it with their own eyes now was even more shocking. This was a primordial soul cultivator from the Purple Heaven sect. The Purple Heaven sect was one of the core 3 gates and 6 sects of the Tao Alliance. It was a colossus in the universe. Although this primordial soul cultivator looked young, he might have already lived for thousands of years. The 4 of them didn't dare to delay and hurriedly bowed respectfully. Chow Xian, Fu Zai, Feng Sai, and Zhang Yuqing greet senior. "My name is Daoist Changbai," the young man said expressionlessly. The 4 of them bowed again. "What's the current situation in Chenyang Grotto Heaven?" Daoist Changbai's gaze locked onto Chow Xian. Chow Xian didn't dare to hide anything and described the situation of Chenyang Grotto Heaven, which was almost completely destroyed. At the same time, golden core and even nascent soul cultivators continuously arrived. Under the strict orders and coercive methods of the Chow family, they came from all over Murong planet to this wasteland where the interstellar transportation array was located. Soon, the number exceeded 10,000 and was still increasing. After hearing Chow Xian's description, Daoist Changbai remained silent. Facing an primordial soul cultivator of such a background, no one dared to speak. Until night fell. Close to 20,000 cultivators had already gathered in the wasteland with a radius of 10 kilometers. Almost all of them were at the golden core stage, with only a dozen or so at the nascent soul stage. Among these cultivators, there were more than 10,000 local cultivators. There were also more than 5,000 foreign cultivators who had been found and forcibly brought here. Chow Xian said respectfully, "Senior Changbai, all the local and foreign cultivators of Murong planet are basically here. There are still a few who live in seclusion and are currently being searched." As he said this, he was extremely puzzled. He didn't know what this primordial soul cultivator from the Purple Heaven sect wanted. Daoist Changbai was expressionless as he stood in the air, his indifferent gaze sweeping across the wasteland. At this moment, the wasteland was extremely noisy and chaotic. The cultivators who had been forcibly gathered here by the Chow family looked at the group of powerful figures in front of the interstellar transportation array. Some were dissatisfied, some were curious, and most were terrified. They didn't know what would happen. "For me." Daoist Changbai snorted coldly. Rumble. Under the night sky, thunder rumbled and dark clouds covered the sky. A suppressive force that seemed to originate from heaven and earth enveloped the wasteland with a radius of 10 kilometers. Those noisy cultivators seemed to have been cast with a body-fixing spell, and all of them were rooted to the spot. They couldn't move, couldn't speak, and only had fear in their eyes. They had been completely imprisoned. There was a deathly silence. Chow Xian, Fu Zai, Feng Sai, and Zhang Yuqing were all experienced and knowledgeable people. Especially Feng Sai and Zhang Yuqing. Both of them came from top immortal sects, and their respective masters were all primordial soul cultivators. Therefore, they were well aware of the means of a primordial soul cultivator. The 4 of them were shocked, but more so bewildered. They were all trying to guess what Daoist Changbai was up to. Chapter 281. On a 10,000-meter-high mountain 100 miles away. Jiang Xi hid himself and only used the corner of his eye to observe Daoist Changbai and the wasteland where the interstellar transportation portal was. There were nearly 20,000 cultivators in the wasteland with a radius of 10 kilometers. Other than Chow Xian and the others, the rest were all imprisoned in place. He and the Wen siblings were 100 miles away from the interstellar transportation portal, so they were not restrained by Daoist Changbai. What is he trying to do? Jiang Xi frowned and had a bad feeling. At this moment, he saw Daoist Changbai move in the air. This nascent soul stage cultivator with a handsome face and a slightly sinister aura reached out and grabbed at the air in front of everyone. A mid-Aurus core stage cultivator uncontrollably flew out of the crowd and landed in front of Daoist Changbai like a puppet. To be more specific, the top of this person's head happened to be in the palm of Daoist Changbai's outstretched hand. On the surface, Daoist Changbai did not do anything else. However, in just 10 seconds, the mid-Aurus core stage cultivator's breathing went from stable to disorderly and then to completely silent. He was dead. Daoist Changbai's expression did not change as he casually tossed the corpse aside. Then, he repeated his actions and grabbed in the air. Another late Aurus core stage cultivator flew out of the crowd. 10 seconds later, another person died. Soul search. Jiang Xi's eyes narrowed. It was an extremely domineering soul search that did not care about the life or death of the person being searched. He was very familiar with this situation. This was because he had studied the soul search technique from Daoist Ge's inherited memories and had already mastered it. His looking for something. When he saw Daoist Changbai complete the soul search on 10 golden core stage cultivators in just 2 or 3 minutes as if he was catching chickens, this thought surfaced in Jiang Xi's mind. Purple Heaven Sect. Could he be looking for something left behind by Master? Only the Purple Heaven Sword manual could be so important to him. Several clues were connected in his mind. First, when he first became Daoist Ge's disciple, Daoist Ge's first task was to deliver the Purple Heaven Sword manual to the Purple Heaven sect within 100 years. Secondly, the Violet Firmament Sword manual was one of the most important inheritances of the Violet Firmament sect. Just by looking at its name, one would know. The Violet Firmament Sword manual was named after the Violet Firmament, so how could it not be important? Daoist Ge was the only inheritor of the Purple Firmament Sword Sutra. If he died, the inheritance would be severed. Thirdly, 10,000 years ago, Daoist Ge had once protected the previous ruler of Murong planet, the Wen clan. Daoist Ge had even contributed greatly to the establishment of the Wen clan's ancestral land. Shizuan tricked me. This was the third time Jiang Xi lamented. Earlier, before he had entered Chenyang Cave, he had learned an important piece of information from the Wen siblings. More than 6,000 years ago, when Daoist Ge died in the Heaven and Earth Spirit Lock formation, his life slip shattered. Half a day later, the Daoist child of the Wen clan's ancestor, Wen Yang, who was also the ancestor of the Qiao clan, Qiao Changsheng, arrived with 3 mysterious primordial soul stage cultivators. Daoist Ge's protection of the Wen clan was wiped out. After that, the Qiao clan took over the Magpie's Nest and became the new ruler of Murong planet. How did Qiao Changsheng learn of Daoist Ge's death so accurately and in such a timely manner? Moreover, Daoist Ge's life slip could only be found in the Wen clan and the Purple Heaven sect. The life and death of a Dao integration expert was definitely a big secret. The Wen clan would not be foolish enough to leak the news of Daoist Ge's death. The answer to who leaked the news was self-evident. 3 days ago, Jiang Xi had accidentally overheard a conversation between Feng Sai and the others and learned another important piece of information. For more than 6,000 years, the Qiao clan had turned Murong planet, which belonged to the Dao Alliance, into a private territory. However, the Dao Alliance had never pursued this matter. The Dao Alliance's heavenly court office on Murong planet was like a decoration. Even the Four Symbols sect, which ruled the Minglan Star region, did not want to provoke the Qiao clan on Murong planet. One must know that Murong planet belonged to the Minglan Star region and was under the jurisdiction of the Four Symbols sect. All of this pointed to a single point. Behind the Qiao clan stood the Purple Heaven sect. Only this colossus that ruled the Zixiao region could cause the Four Symbols sect to be wary of it. After all, the Minglan Star region was within the Zixiao region. The destruction of the Wen clan more than 6,000 years ago was for the Purple Heaven Sword scripture? Or was it purely for the sake of destroying those related to Master? Or was it for both purposes? Daoist Changbai was so cruel that he treated human lives like grass and killed people like chickens. If I go to the Purple Heaven sect, I'm afraid I'll be treated the same way, right? Jiang Xi felt helpless. He claimed to be the disciple of a Dao integration expert, but Daoist Ge was already gone. Without a backer, there was no point in saying anything. If he went to the Purple Heaven sect like a fool, the result was predictable. For the Purple Heaven sword scripture, the people of the Purple Heaven sect would definitely search his soul. This was because they could not be sure if the Purple Heaven sword scripture that Jiang Xi took out was complete. Only by searching his soul would they be able to guarantee its authenticity. When Yushin and Wen Feng turned to look at Jiang Xi, both of them were full of worry. They were not worried about the Purple Heaven sect, but how to leave. Daoist Changbai's appearance made them lose their chance to take action. How could they teleport under the nose of a nascent soul cultivator? 20 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. Daoist Changbai was still searching the soul of a golden core cultivator in 10 seconds as if he was killing chickens. He did not even take the time to grab the person. Hundreds of golden core cultivators had already died from his domineering soul searching. At this rate, close to 20,000 cultivators would be buried in the wilderness in 3 days at most. Due to the restraints, these people couldn't speak or move. The fear in their eyes grew stronger and stronger. They could only wait for death to descend. Anger and despair. Feng Sai, Fu Zai, and Zhang Yuqing kept quiet out of fear, their faces even turning pale. They did not expect that this nascent soul cultivator from the Purple Heaven sect would be so cruel. Previously in the Qianyang Grotto Heaven, the 4 factions joined forces to kill more than 10,000 cultivators in order to fight for the opportunity. Each of them killed an average of 10 people. Although it was cruel, it was definitely not as cruel as this Daoist Changbai who wanted to kill 20,000 people alone. He was 1,000 times more ruthless than them. They were also guessing that Daoist Changbai might be looking for something. Perhaps he was not looking for the Dao integration inheritance of the Qianyang Grotto Heaven. After all, the number of Dao integration cultivators in the Purple Heaven sect was not small. As a nascent soul cultivator of the Purple Heaven sect, Daoist Changbai did not need to do such a cruel thing for a Dao integration inheritance. Compared to the 3 of them, Qiao Xian was the apparent ruler of the Murong planet. While they were frightened, they were more indifferent and even delighted. Because of the 20,000 cultivators, more than 10,000 of them were native cultivators of the Murong planet. It would be best if they were all dead. Then, the Qiao clan would be able to monopolize all the cultivation resources of this 4th-grade life-preserving planet. The only pity was that because of Daoist Changbai's appearance, the Wen clan's inheritance might not be fated with the Qiao clan. Chapter 282. Jiang Xi was also worried about the problem of leaving Murong planet. If Daoist Changbai was doing this for the Purple Cloud Sword scripture, then the purpose of this wanton soul-searching was very obvious. It must be to search for the person who obtained the Wen clan's inheritance in Qianyang Grotto Heaven, which was him and the Wen clan siblings. He wanted to see if he could find the Purple Cloud Sword scripture through the 3 of them. What was certain was that this Daoist Changbai didn't know whether Daoist Ge had left the Purple Cloud Sword scripture here, and was just holding on to a glimmer of hope. However, Jiang Xi was very clear that even if Daoist Changbai soul-searched all the 20,000 cultivators, he wouldn't get anything. Unless he could find him and the Wen clan siblings. Therefore, this was the problem that Jiang Xi was most worried about. If after Daoist Changbai soul-searched, he didn't find the 3 people who had obtained the inheritance among those people, he would definitely guess that the 3 of them were still hiding somewhere on Murong planet. At that time, this nascent soul cultivator would very likely make the same choice as the Qiao clan and search the entire Murong planet. Even if he was more ruthless, he would also kill the Qiao clan. A nascent soul cultivator's spiritual sense could easily cover thousands of kilometers. Under this kind of search, if he and the Wen clan siblings were still on Murong planet, there was nowhere to hide. Even a high-grade spiritual artifact disguise mask would lose its effect in front of Daoist Changbai. In the end, he could conclude that this was a dead end. What to do? Jiang Xi's brows were tightly knitted, his mind turning rapidly, trying to keep calm. At this time, the Qiao clan people were still searching all over Murong planet, forcibly bringing some cultivators who were hiding, or even in closed-door cultivation, here. Scattered, the number of people was still increasing by a small margin. Soon, 2 days passed. On the wasteland where Murong Planet's interstellar teleportation array was located, there were more than 4,000 Jindan cultivators. However, there were even more dead people. In this wasteland, there were more than 10,000 corpses piled up into a mountain. On the wasteland, there was a deathly silence. There were no rivers of blood, only gusts of cold wind. Incomparably terrifying. Daoist Changbai was still repeating the soul-searching actions. His expression didn't change. From his performance, he wouldn't give up until he achieved his goal. On the third day, the sky was bright. However, no one felt the slightest bit of warmth from the light. Even Qiao Xian and the other 3 were completely stunned. Tens of thousands of people had died in the war, and watching one person indifferently slaughter tens of thousands of people. The feeling it brought was completely different. Finally, the expression on Priest Changbai's face changed. He frowned slightly. He had already searched the souls of more than 10,000 people, but he still hadn't found the 3 golden core cultivators who had obtained the inheritance in Qianyang Cave Heaven. However, when he saw that there were still 6,000 to 7,000 people left, and that the Qiao clan was still sending over some of the fish that had escaped the net, he was shocked. Daoist Changbai's brows relaxed. Just kill them all. In his heart, even the lives of 1 trillion people were not as important as the purple firmament sword scripture. 1 trillion people, which was the number of life forms on 100 life planets. The Zixiao sect, on the other hand, was a massive immortal Dao sect that ruled over the entire Zixiao region. The number of planets under his control couldn't even be measured in terms of hundreds of millions. Therefore, the lives of these 20,000 people were not worth mentioning when compared to the important inheritance of the Purple Heaven sect. So be it. Daoist Changbai coldly reached out and grabbed another late-stage golden core cultivator. He was about to search his soul. However, at that moment, the nearby interstellar transportation formation lit up. His movements paused. Everyone's attention was drawn over. They were puzzled. Who would be teleporting over at this time? The light of the transportation formation dissipated, and a figure appeared in the interstellar transportation formation. It was a middle-aged man with a tuft of beard on his chin. His eyes were full of vicissitudes of life, and he gave off a dignified yet kind feeling. However, the most eye-catching thing was not his appearance. Instead, it was the aura of a nascent soul cultivator. Everyone was shocked. Even Daoist Changbai frowned again. When he saw this person, Qiao Xian felt that things were getting more and more out of hand. The first to react were the disciples of the Four Symbols sect. Hundreds of disciples, led by Zheng Yuqing, flew over and bowed. Greetings, sect master. The newcomer was the sect master of the Four Symbols sect, Yi Shan. Then, Qiao Xian, Fu Zai, Feng Sai, and the other nascent soul cultivators also bowed. In terms of status, Yi Shan was not inferior to Daoist Changbai. After all, the Four Symbols sect was a top immortal Dao sect that ruled an entire star region. Yi Shan nodded slightly, then turned his dignified gaze to Daoist Changbai. Changbai, that's enough. Do you know what I'm looking for? Daoist Changbai replied coldly. The only one on the Murong planet that's related to the Purple Heaven sect is the Wen clan that was sheltered by Senior Ji 10,000 years ago. The Wen clan's Qianyang Cave has just opened. I'm sure you're looking for something left behind by Senior Ji, right? Yi Shan chuckled. Since you know, why are you stopping me? Daoist Changbai asked. Yi Shan did not answer directly. Instead, he used his spiritual sense to speak. The Murong planet is a planet of life in the Minglan star region. Nominally, it's under the jurisdiction of the Four Symbols sect. You've massacred the cultivators of the Murong planet and these foreign cultivators. If word gets out, where will I put my face as the sect master of the Four Symbols sect? Where will the Four Symbols sect put its face? Daoist Changbai's expression was cold and unmoved. This was because Yi Shan's reason was obviously untenable. Just for face. How many people who have lived for thousands of years care about face? Yi Shan continued to speak. You're soul-searching just to find something left behind by Senior GE. Maybe it's on someone here. I have a suggestion. Let these people swear to the natural law that they didn't find anything left behind by Senior GE on the Murong planet. If they don't dare to swear to the natural law, there must be something wrong with them. In this way, you'll achieve your goal and the Four Symbols sect's face will be saved, right? After the conversation, Yi Shan wore a smile on his face. No one could tell what he was thinking. Daoist Chang Bai was expressionless, but he had to admit that Yi Shan's suggestion was feasible. Cultivators didn't swear easily because it was a taboo. Because cultivators were different from ordinary people. With spiritual force and soul sense, they would have some kind of connection with heaven and earth. Especially when they swore to the natural law, the natural law would respond when the oath was completed. Once violated, the oath would definitely take effect. Daoist Chang Bai had considered letting these people swear before, but he thought it was too troublesome and not as fast as soul-searching. In the face of Yi Shan's suggestion, he thought about it and finally nodded in agreement. Of course, there was another main reason. He was a little wary of Yi Shan because Yi Shan was not far from Tao integration. Furthermore, he was only at the early stage essence soul realm. In the next moment, dark thunder rumbled in heaven and earth. At that moment, there were still close to 10,000 cultivators who had yet to be soul-searched who were released by Daoist Chang Bai. These people were terrified but did not dare to escape. Chapter 283. Looking at the panicking cultivators in the wasteland, Yi Shan chuckled and said loudly, "If you want to live, come and line up to make an oath. Swear to the heavenly Tao that you didn't obtain anything left behind by Daoist GE of the Purple Heaven sect on Murong planet. Otherwise, you'll be struck by lightning and die." His words spread throughout the wasteland. On a 10,000-meter-tall mountain 100 miles away, Jiang Xiai's eyes lit up. Although he didn't know what kind of confrontation the two nascent soul cultivators had just had, it was obvious that his opportunity had come. "I still have to observe and see what the situation is like." Jiang Xiai remained calm. He also signaled the Wen siblings to calm down and not be agitated. At the same time, the nearly 10,000 cultivators who had just been released by Daoist Chang Bai and were still in a state of panic were overjoyed. Although swearing to the heavenly Tao was a taboo, it was definitely not a problem to make this oath. Because they really didn't obtain anything left behind by Daoist GE. Therefore, everyone hurriedly lined up. They were very orderly and didn't fight for anything. Daoist Chang Bai frowned slightly. He felt that Yi Shan had ulterior motives, but he didn't find anything wrong. Was it really just for face? First of all, there was definitely nothing wrong with this oath. It could indeed filter out the three people who had obtained the inheritance in Chenyang Grotto Heaven. Secondly, with his cultivation, he had already comprehended a Tao of heaven and earth. He could sense the fluctuation between heaven and earth when these cultivators completed their oaths. Therefore, he didn't have to worry about people making false oaths. From this point of view, Yi Shan's actions were also considered for him. Because Yi Shan had taken the initiative to ask these people to line up and make the oath. The only thing was that in terms of efficiency, this method was much slower. Soul search one person every 10 seconds. One person every half a minute. In a day, less than 3,000 people could complete it. After thinking about it, Daoist Chang Bai didn't say anything. After all, he had already promised Yi Shan. Soon, everyone was in line. One by one, they swore in front of Yi Shan and Daoist Chang Bai. "I, Danu, swear to the heavenly Tao that I'm not on Murong planet. Otherwise, I'll be struck by lightning and die. I, Wang Er." Loud voices sounded one after another, echoing in the wasteland. After everyone completed their oaths, because no one said anything, they didn't dare to leave. They gathered on the other side of the wasteland. It's about time. After watching for a day, when more than 3,000 people had completed the oath, no one had died because of it. Jiang Xiai made up his mind. He didn't use his spiritual sense, but signaled the Wen siblings to follow him with his eyes. Then, the three of them quietly descended from the 10,000-meter-tall mountain without making any noise. He returned to the valley below. The teleportation formation he had set up earlier was still intact. Fortunately, I didn't destroy the teleportation array when I came. Jiang Ci secretly rejoiced. Then, he formed a hand seal to activate the formation. The three of them disappeared into the light of the teleportation formation in an instant. The 10,000-meter-tall mountain happened to block the light. But in the end, when the teleportation was completed, the ripples spread out. 100 miles away, Daoist Chang Bai and Yi Shan both frowned and disappeared. In the next instant, he appeared in the sky above the valley. Teleportation array. As soon as the two of them arrived, they saw the small teleportation array in the valley. Right at this moment, the transport formation trembled lightly. A portion of it shattered and was destroyed. A cold light flashed in Daoist Chang Bai's eyes. His spiritual sense instantly spread out 3,000 kilometers. He carefully examined the area, but in the end, he didn't find anyone who had just finished teleporting. The only thing he found was that on the 10,000-meter-tall mountain next to him, there were still faint remnants of the aura of 3 cultivators. It seemed that they had stayed there for a long time. Daoist Chang Bai was a little angry. There were actually 3 people who had been hiding right under his nose for 3 days, and then they had just swaggered away by teleporting away. Sect Master Yi Shan, did you find anything? Daoist Chang Bai asked coldly. With his early-stage nascent soul cultivation, the limit of his spiritual sense was 3,000 kilometers. Yi Shan, on the other hand, was in the late-stage nascent soul realm. His spiritual sense could reach 10,000 kilometers. It seems that the other party is very cunning. Yi Shan shook his head. His gaze inadvertently swept across the teleportation formation that had self-destructed, and he seemed to be deep in thought. Killing intent appeared in Daoist Chang Bai's eyes. A sword chi shot out and landed in the valley. Boom! The earth cracked, and the entire valley and the surrounding mountains all collapsed. The mountains were moved and the sea was filled. The mountain range quickly turned into a large swamp. The chill on Daoist Chang Bai's body shot straight into the sky. Then, his figure flashed, and he returned to the wasteland where the interstellar teleportation formation was. Qiao Xian, increase the search. If there's a single golden core cultivator missing, I'll destroy your Qiao clan, Daoist Chang Bai said coldly. Qiao Xian's expression changed abruptly. He hurriedly sent a message to the clan members in charge of the search. At this time, there were still more than 5,000 cultivators left in the wasteland who hadn't taken the oath. In addition, the Qiao clan members were still constantly bringing golden core cultivators from all over planet Murong to this place. Daoist Chang Bai didn't give up on screening these people. This was because he couldn't be sure if the ones who had escaped through the teleportation formation were the 3 people who had received the inheritance. About 10,000 kilometers away, on a barren island in the easternmost sea of planet Murong. Jiang Ci had just teleported here when he destroyed the small teleportation formation in front of him with a single palm strike. He had previously set up 10 small teleportation formations, excluding the 6 near the interstellar teleportation formation. This one was the closest to the one in the valley. The time required to teleport was also the shortest. If he teleported to other places, such as the one in the small courtyard in Shenyang City, the distance would be a full 108,000 kilometers, and the teleportation time would definitely be longer. He might be discovered before the teleportation was even successful. Therefore, he chose to teleport here. Whether or not we can leave planet Murong will depend on this. Take off your disguise masks and don't hide anything. Use your true faces. Jiang Ci said to the Wen clan siblings when Yushin and Wen Feng nodded and took off their masks, revealing their true faces. Both of them were quite good-looking. They looked like youths. The elder sister, Wen Yushin, was dignified and gentle. She looked like a kind big sister next door. The younger brother, Wen Feng, also had a scholarly aura. He looked like a young scholar who was rushing to take the exam. We'll split up. If we can muddle our way through this time, we'll gather on planet Kanglan. Remember that, right? Jiang Ci said. Don't worry, Marshal Granduncle, the siblings said in unison. Then, the 3 of them split up and flew away from the island in 2 different directions. Jiang Xi's plan was very simple. They would find a city and purposely let the Qiao clan discover them. Then, they would borrow the Qiao clan's hands to go to that wasteland and muddle their way through. Therefore, they had to take off their disguise masks, which were only high-grade spirit artifacts. If they wore masks, with Daoist Chang Bai and Yi Shan, two nascent soul cultivators, their disguise would be useless. Their disguises would have no effect and would instead arouse suspicion. Chapter 284. The Wen siblings had always been wearing disguise masks and had never revealed their true appearances in front of outsiders. After taking off their masks, it was actually safer. However, there was a hidden danger in River Word. When I first came to Murong Planet, the Qiao family had secretly followed me. There are many Qiao family cultivators in the wasteland. Maybe someone knows my true appearance. Jiang Xi thought for a moment. Dozens of fine sword rays appeared in his hand, and then he wiped his face. Instantly, dozens of hideous wounds appeared on his face, and blood flowed out. But his expression did not change, and he immediately used the true meaning of Li fire. A ball of dark red flame appeared in his hand, and he applied it to his face. Kai Kai, the sound of burning flesh and blood was heard. Those hideous wounds immediately condensed into scars. But it was not over yet. He used Gale to brush these scars many times. He completed the final aging process of the wind. After a few breaths, these scars became like they were left behind many years ago. His face was full of scars and full of bumps and hollows. It was unrecognizable. He changed his clothes and changed his hairstyle. Jiang Xi had completely changed. True appearance. This time, even Yushin and Wenfeng can't recognize me. In order to survive, Jiang Xi also became ruthless. This operation damaged the foundation of the wounds on his face, and it was very difficult to recover. He could not recover until he reached the nascent soul stage, but compared to survival, what was appearance? Even if he had to cut off his limbs, he would still do it. Of course, Jiang Xi was not worried that he would be permanently disfigured. As long as he could escape this crisis, reaching the nascent soul stage was only a matter of time. Under Jiang Xi's hideous face, his gaze was incomparably resolute. Next, he had to fight. Staying on Murong Planet was waiting for death. If he went to the wasteland and fought, he might still have a chance to survive. He flew all the way, and soon arrived at a secular country near Murong Planet's far east sea. He did not hide his figure, and the aura of a late-stage Jindan spread out without restraint when he flew to a big city in this secular country. A group of Qiao family Jindan cultivators flew in front of him. A team of 10 golden elixir cultivators from the Qiao family did not give Jiang Xi any chance to resist. Relying on their numbers, they forcibly took Jiang Xi away. Of course, Jiang Xi was happy to see this, but he deliberately put on a fierce and angry look. He cursed along the way and deliberately slowed down. 15 minutes later, he was brought to the wasteland where the interstellar transportation portal was located. He had left the teleportation array in the valley and arrived here. Almost half a day had passed since then. At this moment, in the wilderness, the 5,000 cultivators who had completed their oaths stood at the side. On the other side, there were more than 4,000 golden core cultivators and more than 10 nascent soul cultivators who had not taken the oath. Everyone lined up and waited for the oath to be taken. After River Word arrived, he was forcefully pressed into the team by someone. When he saw the figures of Daoist Changbai and Yi Shan, as well as the mountain of over 10,000 corpses, Jiang Xi pretended to be terrified. In reality, he was indeed a little nervous. Now he was dancing on the tip of a knife. Once he was exposed, he would not be able to escape. But he was still able to keep calm. He deliberately magnified the nervousness in his heart 100 times and turned it into panic. Therefore, on the surface, Jiang Xi's panic seemed very real and did not arouse any suspicion. However, his ferocious and terrifying appearance attracted a lot of attention. Soon, these gazes turned to other places. Because Jiang Xi's wound was very real. It was obvious that it was an old wound. Moreover, this kind of appearance was not an exception among so many cultivators. After all, Only after reaching the nascent soul stage could one have the strength to heal such a wound that damaged one's foundation. At this point, Jiang Xi was secretly relieved. But he still maintained a high level of vigilance. When he was lining up, he did not dare to look directly at Daoist Changbai and Yi Shan. These two nascent soul stage cultivators did not restrain their powerful aura. They constantly brought a kind of pressure from the depths of one's soul, especially Yi Shan. His aura seemed to be about to merge with heaven and earth. It was frighteningly strong. Nascent soul stage, Jiang Xi was looking forward to it. But on the surface, he still pretended to be nervous. People lined up to take the oath one after another. In the wilderness, except for the voice of the oath, no one else dared to speak. After another half a day, Jiang Xi saw the Wen siblings flying over from afar with the people of the Qiao family. Then, the siblings were also forcibly arranged into the line. Both of them were full of fear. But their fear was, to a large extent, real. Therefore, in this case, they did not attract the attention of others. Many people had the same feeling. The Wen siblings had Jiangxi's instructions, so after they arrived, they didn't deliberately look for Jiangxi's figure. Of course, even if they wanted to find Jiang Xi, they could not find him. With Jiangxi's current malevolent and terrifying appearance, perhaps only Jiang Dudu would be able to recognize him. No one else would be able to. In this way, time passed. Another day passed. Finally, it was Jiang Xi's turn. Standing in front of the two nascent soul stage cultivators, Jiang Xi magnified the anxiety in his heart by 10,000 times. His body even trembled a little. He looked no different from the cultivators who had taken the oath before. I, Jiang Xi, swear to the heavens that I did not obtain the relics left behind by Daoist Ge of the Purple Heaven sect on Murong planet. Otherwise, I will immediately be struck by lightning and die. There was no problem at all. An imperceptible fluctuation had descended upon Riverword's body from the darkness. The oath was completed. Daoist Changbai was expressionless. Yi Shan was still smiling. The Wen siblings in the crowd did not show any unusual reaction when they heard Jiang Xi's name. They had been hunted all year round, and their minds were very firm. In the end, Jiang Xi successfully passed. With a nervous look, he came to another part of the wilderness. The cultivators who had completed the oath were all gathered here. No one said anything, and no one dared to leave. Murong planet. I received Master's inheritance on the first moon of Earth. Jiang Xi thought to himself, thinking of this, a thought suddenly appeared in his mind. Why did it feel like there was a loophole in this oath? Why did he have to emphasize that he did not obtain Daoist Ge's inheritance on Murong planet? He glanced at Yi Shan of the Four Symbols sect from the corner of his eye. This oath template was said by this nascent soul stage cultivator. Jiang Xi was extremely surprised. Soon, another half a day passed. In the wilderness, except for the cultivators of the Qiao family, the Four Symbols sect, and the Zhongyun sect, everyone had made the same oath. And the people of the Qiao family who were searching all over Murong planet had not brought back any new cultivators for an entire day. Daoist Changbai's expression finally changed from indifference to gloominess. In the sky, dark thunder rumbled as if the end of the world was coming. Suddenly, everyone was silent as they felt a strong sense of danger. Qiao Xian, are you sure that all the Aurus core and nascent soul stage cultivators on Murong planet are here? Daoist Changbai's voice was cold. Chapter 285. Senior, our Qiao clan's cultivators are still trying their best to search. Qiao Xian was fearful but did not dare to make any guarantees. This was because it was indeed very difficult to find cultivators above the golden core stage if they really wanted to hide. For example, they could bury themselves 10,000 meters deep underground. Unless one used their spiritual sense to search inch by inch, it would be impossible to discover such a hiding spot. All of you, swear an oath as well. Daoist Changbai's face darkened as he looked at the 1,000-odd cultivators of the Qiao clan, Four Symbols sect, and Zhongyun sect, as well as the lone space hunter Fu Zhe. Everyone's expression changed. They had all entered the Qianyang Grotto heaven. Yi Shan also frowned slightly, because there were more than 104 symbols sect disciples inside. However, he did not stop them. Half a day later, these people also swore the same oath. At this point, everyone had passed the test of the oath. This also meant that no one in this wasteland had obtained Daoist Ge's inheritance on Murong planet. Daoist Chongbai's aura was about to erupt. Dark thunder rumbled in the sky, as if the end of the world had come. Then, he said coldly to Qiao Xian, "Have your Qiao clan cultivators search inch by inch. Search the entire Murong planet. Even if they are hiding in the depths of the planet's core, find them." He could not be sure whether the 3 people who had escaped from the valley had been found by the Qiao clan and brought here, and had also sworn an oath. However, he was certain that there was something wrong with those 3. Qiao Xian was filled with helplessness, but he did not dare to refuse. He immediately sent a message to the clan members in charge of the search. At the same time, he sent out all the Qiao clan cultivators here. This was destined to be a vast search operation. Searching inch by inch would probably take more than 10 years. At this moment, Yi Shan said, "Daoist Changbai, can these people who have sworn an oath disperse? I'm leaving with them." Daoist Changbai's gaze swept over the 10,000 cultivators before he finally nodded. Swearing an oath to the heavenly Tao proved that there was nothing wrong with these people. Disciples of the 4 Symbols sect and those foreign cultivators, come out, Yi Shan said loudly. Many people were pleasantly surprised at his words. More than 2,000 people and 100 disciples of the 4 Symbols sect flew out from the group and came before Yi Shan. Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings were also mixed in the crowd and were inconspicuous. Then, Yi Shan cupped his hands at Daoist Changbai and led the group into the interstellar transfer array. Daoist Changbai frowned slightly. He still felt that something was wrong. It was reasonable for Yi Shan to leave with the 4 Symbols sect. But why did he have to bring along those foreign cultivators who were neither relatives nor friends? Could it be that Yi Shan was only doing this for the sake of his reputation? Wait! Daoist Changbai suddenly shouted. At this moment, Yi Shan was about to activate the teleportation formation. He looked somewhat displeased. "Fellow Daoist Changbai, are you really not going to give me face?" Daoist Changbai was slightly taken aback, and his tone softened a little. "I would like to confirm it again. Please forgive me, Sect Master Yi Shan." Yi Shan didn't smile at him this time. He was unhappy. Daoist Changbai no longer cared about offending Yi Shan. He used the powerful consciousness of the nascent soul stage to carefully examine the 2,000 or so foreign cultivators and the 100 or so 4 Symbols sect disciples. Among them were the unrecognizable Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings. After a quarter of an hour, the examination ended. "Thank you, Sect Master Yi Shan," Daoist Changbai said with a sullen face. Yi Shan didn't say anything. He just snorted and activated the teleportation formation. His consciousness gathered a huge amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi from the surroundings. Immediately, the interstellar teleportation formation was activated. In the dazzling light, the 2,000 or so people were teleported away at the same time. Daoist Changbai looked at the empty interstellar teleportation formation. Sword chi flashed in his eyes. Is he not on Murong planet? He stayed on Murong planet for 3,000 years. It's impossible that he didn't leave anything behind. He's a formation expert, and those 3 people also know how to set up teleportation formations. There must be a connection between them. It's very likely that they got his inheritance, but no one who swore an oath just now showed any abnormalities. It means that those 3 people are still on this planet. We have to find them even if we have to dig 30,000 feet into the ground. Minglan planet and Kanglan planet were both grade 6 life planets, and they were both core planets of a star zone. But in terms of prosperity, Minglan planet was more than a grade lower than Kanglan planet. After all, this wasn't a trading planet. Sect Master Yi Shan of the 4 Symbols sect brought everyone to Minglan planet. Minglan planet's teleportation hall. "Thank you for saving our lives, Senior," everyone said respectfully in unison. Yi Shan's dignified face showed a smile again. He said to the many foreign cultivators who still had lingering fears, "This is Minglan planet. According to the interstellar teleportation formation fee, each of you has to pay 10,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. Of course, if you're short on money, you can develop on Minglan planet first. Once you've earned enough money, you can pay the Four Symbols sect. I believe that you'll like Minglan planet in the end. Everyone looked at each other. How could a nascent soul cultivator be like this? Thus, many people had bitter expressions. They could only stay on Minglan planet. Before they went to Murong planet, they had tightened their belts and only prepared 20,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. The interstellar teleportation formation fee was just right. Who knew that so many things would happen in between? In the end, they didn't get anything and unexpectedly came to Minglan planet. If they had to pay another 10,000 low-grade spiritual crystals, they would have no money to go home. However, although everyone was helpless, they didn't have any complaints. After all, Yi Shan had saved them. Of course, some people could afford it. They paid 20,000 low-grade spiritual crystals and left through the interstellar teleportation formation. Minglan planet is still too close to Murong planet. We have to go. Jiang Ci didn't communicate with the Wen siblings. He also paid the interstellar teleportation formation fee and left. His destination was Kang Lan planet. As for the Wen siblings, one was a darknet headhunter on Murong planet, and the other was the owner of the darknet. They should be able to pay 20,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. In the sky above Minglan planet, there were 4 huge floating islands. They were the headquarters of the Four Symbols sect. In the depths of one of the floating islands, there was an array boundary that prevented spiritual senses from probing. Inside the array boundary, there was an ancient altar supported by 4 stone pillars in the middle of a black lake. After Yi Shan left the teleportation hall, he immediately came here. He was waiting for something. After some time, the figure of a middle-aged woman suddenly appeared on the altar. The woman's face was ordinary, but there was a galaxy flowing in her eyes. Yi Shan greets Granny Yang. Yi Shan knelt on the ground respectfully. I already know what you did on Murong planet. You did very well. The woman's voice seemed to come from beyond the heavens. Thank you for the compliment, Granny. Yi Shan was overjoyed. In 100 years, I will get someone to reserve a spot for you in the Heavenly Court's ancient Tao origin world, Granny Yang said softly. Thank you, Granny. Yi Shan was overjoyed. A late-stage essence soul cultivator was so excited that his face was flushed red. Chapter 286. When Yi Shan heard Granny Yang's promise, he could no longer maintain his composure. Even after Granny Yang's message disappeared, his face was still filled with excitement. His cultivation was at the late-stage essence soul stage, and he had already mastered 80% of the weak water Tao. If he wanted to cultivate it to perfection, he would need at least 100 years, and at most 1,000 years. If he encountered a bottleneck in the middle, he might die before he could reach perfection even after his lifespan was exhausted. However, even if he mastered the heaven and earth Tao, he would at most be invincible among the essence soul stage. If he wanted to become a Tao integration cultivator, there was one more obstacle: the fusion of spirit and Tao. This obstacle was extremely difficult. There were countless powerful primal Taoists in the Tao Alliance who had been stuck at this stage. Tao integration was difficult. If he did not reach the Tao, how could he reach the Tao integration stage? However, Yi Shan was confident that with his talent and comprehension, he could complete the fusion of spirit and Tao within 1,000 years. However, would succeeding in the Tao integration mean that he had reached the pinnacle? As the sect leader of a top immortal Tao sect, Yi Shan knew that Tao integration was just another beginning. With my talent, I am confident that I can reach the Tao integration stage, but it will be extremely difficult for me to advance any further. The ancient Tao origin world of the Heavenly Court only opens once every 10,000 years. Even the disciples of the 3 sects and 6 sects have a hard time getting a spot. Perhaps I can use this opportunity to reach the threshold above Tao integration. Ha ha, his carefree laughter wantonly reverberated throughout the formation. Planet Kang Lan, waterfront city, teleportation hall. When the light of the galaxy teleportation formation dissipated, he saw the familiar guard captain, Gong Shi. Jiang Xi finally heaved a sigh of relief. He was finally safe. Gong Shi once again made an exaggerated gesture of greeting because he did not recognize Jiang Xi, who had a ferocious expression on his face. Jiang Xi did not intend to expose himself either. He found a cover and created a new identity on planet Kanglan. He also sent a message to the Wen family siblings and told them to create new identities later. Then he left leisurely. Walking on the streets of Waterfront City, Jiang Xi made a decision as he looked at the different scenery of planet Kanglan. I'll first complete the Golden Core transformation and reach the nascent soul stage before returning to Earth. Now that he couldn't treat the wound on his face, if he went back now, he would probably scare that little girl from Jiangdudu to tears. He might as well make a breakthrough first before returning. It just so happened that he was going to apply to become the Earth's Lord. Next, Jiang Xi spent more than 1 million spirit crystals to buy a manor at the peak of a mountain in Linhai City. This was one of the places with the highest concentration of spirit qi on the pale blue planet. It was the best place to cultivate. In the future, this would be his permanent residence in the starry sky. Jiang Xi stood at the top of the manor. He could see the sea of planet blue and the floating islands on the surface of the sea. With such a beautiful scenery, I must bring Dudu here to play in the future. Although he had such thoughts, he did not relax at all. With my current combat ability, I can be considered as invincible among the nascent soul stage cultivators. However, if I really want to take care of the head of the Qing Shen sect, I still need to go further. Not only that, but there is also old ancestor Qing Shen, who is comparable to the nascent soul stage. He is an even more abnormal character. The crisis brought by the Qing Shen sect had yet to be resolved. He still needed to continue working hard. After a while, the Wen family siblings arrived. Ever since they were born, they had lived in a society similar to the Qin dynasty on Earth. When they were on Minglan planet, they did not leave the teleportation hall. Therefore, they did not feel much about the outside world. However, now that they were on the pale blue planet, they were walking on the streets of this trading planet. The two late-stage Golden Core cultivators were completely dazzled. They had never seen such a bustling planet. Until they walked into Jiang Xi's manor, they were still a little absent-minded. The world was so big. When they saw Jiang Xi, they finally calmed down. Uncle Granduncle, your face. When Yushin was concerned about Jiang Xi's appearance, Wen Feng was also worried. It's okay. When I reach the nascent soul stage, I will be able to recover. Jiang Xi smiled. When he grinned, those scars squeezed together and his face looked even more ferocious. The siblings looked at each other. Judging from Uncle Granduncle's tone, it seemed that it would be easy to cultivate to the nascent soul stage. Uncle Granduncle was indeed powerful. What do you plan to do next? Do you want to do anything? Jiang Xi asked. Since he was Uncle Granduncle, he had to be responsible and care about the development of the younger generation. Our Wen family's inheritance is mainly the art of crafting. It will require a lot of practice. Therefore, Wen Feng and I plan to open a crafting workshop and cultivate at the same time. Wen Yushin smiled. That's fine. I will help you find someone for the crafting workshop. Thank you, Uncle Granduncle. Jiang Xi smiled. No matter where one went, there was no lack of connections and relationships. In the galaxy, besides the strong being respected, sometimes it would be easier to do some things with someone to guide you. The interstellar merchant Shenwansi, who was only one word away from the great merchant Shenwansan, had many connections on the pale blue planet. He could ask him for help. Shenwansi would be very happy to hear this news. This was because the spirit artifact trade was one of the top industries in the Tao Alliance's 9 major galaxies. Spirit pills and spirit artifacts were indispensable to cultivators. Moreover, the legacy of crafting artifacts was as rare as the legacy of arrays. It was very difficult for ordinary people to get involved in the spirit artifact trade. I can't sell the things left behind by my ancestors every day. There will definitely be more and more spirit crystals for cultivation in the future. The Wen family is good at crafting artifacts. Their legacy of crafting artifacts was famous in the Zixiao region 10,000 years ago. I can use this opportunity to get involved in the spirit artifact trade. This was another consideration in Jiang Xi's mind. Cultivation required money. That day, Jiang Xi called Shenhuanzi over. This interstellar merchant, who dreamed of buying a manor in Linhai City, saw Jiang Xi's seaside manor and called him Jiang Ji enviously. As for the wound on Jiang Xi's face, he didn't ask about it at all. Who knew what kind of weird fetish this mysterious and noble young master was up to? Then, Shenhuanzi started to complain. Jiang Ji, you've got me in trouble. That's clearly a place of Tao integration inheritance, but you told me it's a place of primordial spirit inheritance. Also, Jiang Ji, you've made a big deal out of this. I heard that 20,000 to 30,000 golden core cultivators died. A few nascent soul cultivators also died. In the end, even primordial spirit cultivators died. If it weren't for the fact that I have a lot of connections and that I'm just a small fry, I would have been dragged to the pale blue cloud sect by now. Jiang Xi smiled and didn't interrupt him. Shenhuanzi's words hinted at one point, which was that he didn't reveal that he was the mastermind behind the scenes. Ever since Yi Shan brought the surviving foreign cultivators out of the Murong planet. What happened on the Murong planet spread throughout the pale blue planet. Chapter 287. What happened on Murong planet had caused a huge commotion on Blue planet. Because more than half of the cultivators who went to Qianyang Grotto Heaven came from Blue planet. Tao integration inheritance. 20 to 30,000 golden core cultivators died. Many nascent soul cultivators also died. Even the nascent soul cultivators of Purple Heaven sect and the sect master of Four Symbols sect from Minglan Star region died. This incident caused a huge uproar on Blue planet. So many people died. It was almost the entire strength of a level 4 or level 5 planet. However, no one dared to talk about Daoist Changbai slaughtering 10,000 golden core cultivators. If they offended such a huge monster, it would not be enough even if they died 10,000 times. When Shenhuanzi was almost done complaining, Jiang Xi said with a smile, "Let me introduce you to a big business." Big business? Shenhuanzi's eyes lit up. Then, Jiang Xi introduced the Wen siblings. When Shenhuanzi heard that these two came from a refining family with a 10,000-year heritage, he immediately sent them to the Tao Alliance's Heavenly Court office. However, the Wen siblings' plan to build a refining workshop was still a little small. According to Jiang Xi's plan, if they wanted to develop and make money, of course, they had to plan it bigger. Therefore, under Jiang Xi's leadership, an interstellar trading group called Mountain Sea Star Trade was established. As the saying goes, even blood brothers should settle accounts clearly. In the newly established Mountain Sea Star Trade, Jiang Xi took 50% of the shares, the Wen siblings took 20% each, and Shenhuanzi took the remaining 10%. Among them, Jiang Xi and Shenhuanzi had to pay, but the Wen siblings did not need to pay. They were technically investors. 10% of the shares required 100,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. In terms of scale, Mountain Sea Star Trade was just a prototype now. To what extent it could develop to in the future, they still needed to work together. Of course, if they only relied on the Wen siblings, they would have to work non-stop to refine. The spiritual weapons they produced would not be able to support a group that specialized in spiritual weapon trading. Therefore, their initial plan was to recruit refiners. Then, without revealing the Wen family's refining heritage, the Wen siblings would guide those refiners. The Wen clan's blacksmithing inheritance was famous in the Zixiao region 10,000 years ago. Naturally, it had its own uniqueness. The refined spirit artifacts were very sought after at that time. They were often the finale items of the various major auction houses in the interstellar era. Now, it definitely wouldn't be any worse. He believed that with the guidance of the Wen siblings, the Mountain Sea Star Trade Association would have a bright future. After dealing with these matters, Jiang Xi went into secluded cultivation with a peace of mind. Completing the final golden core nascent soul transformation process. At the same time, he was deducing the next level of the true meaning of sword and true meaning of fire. He had gained a lot from the trip to Murong planet. First of all, He had accomplished his main goal. By refining the baleful yang energy, he had completed the nurturing of his golden core. Secondly, he unexpectedly comprehended the true intent of departing fire through the Wen clan's inheritance. True Dao intent was naturally incomparably precious. An additional Dao art meant an additional means. After that, there were still more than 100,000 Inferno Dao crystals left in the Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Dao crystals were very valuable because they were tainted with the Dao of heaven and earth of a Dao integration expert. Under normal circumstances, a doctrine crystal was equivalent to 1,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. In other words, his current net worth had already exceeded 100 million. Finally, there was the harvest of experience points. That wisp of departing fire had brought him 100 million experience point. That was also 100 million. He looked at the remaining experience points. Sad smiley experience points, 232, 64 million, more than 200 million was a huge amount. Sufficient experience points were the capital to become stronger. Time flew by in the blink of an eye. On this day, Jiang Xi had reached the final stage of his nascent soul transformation. Xian Tian, Li Baibai, Hu Yang, Wen Yushin, Wen Feng. The five of them stood guard outside Jiang Xi's cultivation room. Xian Tian and the other two had returned from a space hunter training ground in the Pale Blue Star region last month. He and Li Baibai had successfully passed the training test and had become space hunters. From the aura emitted by the two of them, it could be seen that their strength had improved a lot. However, the two of them were not satisfied because they realized that the gap between them and Jiang Xi was getting bigger and bigger. Li Baibai shook his head and said helplessly, "This kid, he was still an ordinary person when we were in the spirit-nurturing realm. Now, he has surpassed us by a whole realm. Comparisons are odious, so we can't compare. As long as we are still improving, it's fine." Xian Tian smiled and was in a good mood. Wen Yushin and Wen Feng looked at each other. They had only recently learned that this young martial granduncle was indeed very young. He was only in his 20s. The two of them were already more than 200 years old when they heard this. They really doubted life for a moment. Night fell. The aura of a nascent soul cultivator spread from the cultivation room to the entire manor and then to a radius of 100 miles. This aura attracted many spiritual senses to investigate, but these spiritual senses only scanned and quickly retracted. On the Pale Blue Star, golden core cultivators were only considered elites. Those who could cultivate to the nascent soul stage were top experts. Therefore, the owners of these spiritual senses did not dare to probe too much for fear of offending this new nascent soul cultivator. Success. Outside the cultivation room, the five of them were happy for Jiang Xi. This was especially so for Xian Tian and Li Baibai. The two of them were much happier than the Wen siblings and Hu Yang. Because Jiang Xi had reached the nascent soul stage, it meant that he could apply to become the Lord of Earth. Once Earth was marked by the heavenly eye of the Dao Alliance, it would no longer be a barren planet but a private territory. No one could trespass without permission. Otherwise, the Lord of the planet could apply to the heavenly court to arrest and kill the trespassers. As a result, Earth would become safer. Inside the cultivation room, Jiang Xi looked inside with his spiritual senses and saw that his golden core had already turned into an infant in his lower dantian. Nascent soul. Streaks of spiritual energy stronger than a late-stage golden core cultivator circulated around his body with the nascent soul as the core. It's still not enough. I'm still a little bit away from being truly invincible in the nascent soul stage. Jiang Xi shook his head again. His cultivation base and Dao domain were both at the peak of the nascent soul stage. Previously, when he faced Qiao Xian and Fu Zai, who were both invincible in the nascent soul stage, he used his strongest sword to barely block their attacks. However, his strength was not invincible in the nascent soul stage. His strongest move was only equivalent to an invincible in the nascent soul stage. His ultimate move was equivalent to an ordinary attack. He opened the experience panel. Cultivation, Nascent Soul, Early Stage 1, 81 million, Dao Technique, Gale Domain, 500000050000000, True Intent of Li Fire, 500 000 500 000, True intent of sword, 1, 0000001000000. Amplitude, 100. Deduction, 10,000 experience points per use. Cultivation technique, purple firmament sword manual, peacock visualization method. Experience points, 225. 34 million. I've broken through the bottleneck of my cultivation. There won't be any obstacles in my future advancement. Peak nascent soul stage? Jiang Xi's eyes shone. If he spent some more time and ate a few more spiritual fruits, he would reach the peak of the nascent soul stage. Chapter 288. However, Jiang Xi didn't plan to increase his cultivation level immediately. I'll heal my face first. That was because there were only a few days left until the new year of the Da Xia kingdom. He had to rush back to celebrate the new year with Jiang Dudu. As for increasing his cultivation level, anywhere was fine. His face was the most important thing now. Moreover, he had to go to the Dao Alliance building to do something. The last time he went there, he was only at the late-stage Golden Core realm. If he went there with his late-stage nascent soul realm cultivation level now, it would definitely cause trouble. After all, it had only been a year. Who would believe that he could improve so much in a year? Anyway, the condition to apply for the Earth Overlord title was that he only needed to be at the nascent soul realm. It didn't say whether he was at the early stage or late stage. Immediately after, Jiang Xi circulated his nascent soul realm spiritual power to heal the hideous and terrifying scars on his face. It took him a full 3 days to completely recover. Then, the scars fell off. The new skin made Jiang Xi speechless. He was a standard fair-skinned guy, after walking out of the training room. Jiang Xi, you've become a gigolo. Xian Tian was the first to tease him. The others also laughed. Because the new skin on Jiang Xi's face looked very fair and tender, with a hint of red in it. Jiang Xi smiled helplessly. It seemed that he had to be exposed to more wind in the future and become more rugged. After everyone joked, Jiang Xi looked into the distance. That was the direction of the Dao Alliance building. Big brother, sister bye-bye, it's time to get down to business. Xian Tian and Li Baibai's expressions became solemn as they nodded vigorously. 15 minutes later, the three of them walked to the Dao Alliance building. The middle-aged Daoist in the early nascent soul stage clearly remembered Jiang Xi at the place where the application or transfer of the planet's overlord status was made. He was very surprised because it had only been a year and 2 months since Jiang Xi and the others last came in such a short time. Jiang Xi had broken through from the late-stage Golden Core realm to the early-stage nascent soul realm. He was on the same level as him. Fellow Daoist, do you still want to apply to become the overlord of that planet? The middle-aged Daoist asked with a smile. Not bad. Here are the original data and 100 million low-grade spiritual crystals. Jiang Xi handed over the astrolabe and a Dao Alliance crystal bank card he had prepared beforehand. These 100 million low-grade spirit crystals were exchanged for by him using the 100,000 Dao crystals. Without using the treasures left behind by the ancestors of Earth, strive not to be a prodigal. The middle-aged Daoist acted according to the rules. This time, he didn't ask Jiang Xi to hand over Earth to the Dao Alliance. The doppelganger of the Eye of Heaven shot out a beam of light from the stone pillar that was engraved with spell formations, and examined the astrolabe again. A moment later, the middle-aged Daoist handed the astrolabe to Jiang Xi. At the same time, he smiled and said, "Congratulations, Daoist Jiang Xi. The Eye of Tongtian has branded the earth and the sky around it. From this moment on, you are the new lord of the earth." New Moon Year 97, December 10th. Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai, the three powerhouses of Earth, returned to their hometown through the interstellar teleportation array. As for Hu Yang, he was left behind by Jiang Xi on the Kanglan planet to help the Wen siblings and Shen Wanxi manage the Mountain Sea Star trade. After all, the Mountain Sea Star trade had just been established not long ago. There were many places that needed manpower. This time, the three of them returned mainly for the new year. It was a tradition of the people of Great Xia that no matter where they were, they would want to go home for a visit during the new year. Pak Sn Province, Villa 92 in the Tongtian district. Xian Tian and Li Baibai had already returned to their respective homes. They had promised Jiang Xi that they would return to the Kanglan planet after the new year. These two were battle maniacs. After becoming starry sky hunters, they couldn't stay idle and wanted to go to the stars to train and fight. Late at night, in the villa, Jiang Dudu stared at Jiang Xi's face for a long time and said enviously, "Brother, can cultivation really beautify your face? Your face is white and rosy. It's really the skin of my dreams." Jiang Xi was speechless. Women. At first glance, they all looked at the face. Speaking of which, after leaving for a year, Jiang Dudu was already 18 years old. She was a big girl now. Then, he smiled helplessly and said, "After cultivating to the nascent soul stage, your spiritual power will undergo a qualitative change, and you will be able to make certain adjustments to your body. However, it's better to stay in the original state. If you make any changes, it's easy to cause problems. It's okay. I just need to whiten my skin, the nascent soul stage. I must cultivate to the nascent soul stage." Jiang Dudu clenched her fists tightly. Actually, in Jiang Xi's opinion, her current appearance was good enough. After becoming an adult, Jiang Dudu could no longer be seen as the bean sprout when the two of them were wandering around. Now, she was slim and elegant, and her face had completely grown. Although she wasn't as beautiful as a fairy, her temperament was definitely first class. In terms of personality, she only showed her coquettish side in front of Jiang Xi. In front of outsiders, she could only be cold and aloof. After all, Jiang Dudu was now at the golden core stage, and she was also a peak powerhouse on Earth. Thinking of this, Jiang Xi's expression became serious. After failing to possess Jiang Dudu's body, the remnant spirit of Yin was unexpectedly bound and became Jiang Dudu's slave. Then, Jiang Dudu's cultivation took a big leap for the third time and directly reached the golden core stage. When this happened, he had only been on Murong planet for half a month. After Jiang Dudu sent him a message, he was very worried and immediately rushed back. When he learned that Jiang Dudu could control the life and death of the remnant spirit of Yin, he was relieved. Jiang Dudu had a big secret, which Jiang Xi had known for a long time. During the third and fourth spiritual aura awakening, Jiang Dudu's cultivation had both shown signs of greatly increasing. Although Jiang Xi was shocked that the Dao integration remnant spirit was defeated by Jiang Dudu, it was still within the acceptable range. Seeing Jiang Xi's expression become serious, Jiang Dudu immediately understood what he was thinking and smiled. "Come out." Suddenly, an old woman the size of a thumb flew out from her shoulder. The old woman had little hair and her face was full of wrinkles. She looked like she had suffered a great deal. Moreover, she was ghastly. As soon as she came out, she emitted a cold chill. "Greetings, young master Jiang Xi." Yin Tiansheng bowed to Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi was only at the nascent soul stage, and she was a Dao integration remnant spirit. However, with the relationship between Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu, she did not dare to disrespect Jiang Xi. Moreover, after secretly observing in the past, she was also a little afraid of Jiang Xi. It was not only because Jiang Xi was Daoist Ji's successor, but also because Jiang Xi's speed of improvement was too fast. Although he could not compare to those heaven-defying races who were born at the golden core stage, he could definitely be called a top genius in the universe. "Do you still hate my master?" Jiang Xi asked directly. "I'm already a remnant spirit, and your master is already dead. As the saying goes, a dead man is like an extinguished lamp. How can I still hate him?" Yin Tiansheng smiled bitterly. "The inheritance of the ghost sect in the Fengju mystic realm is with you?" "No, I only ascended the fifth of the 6 heavenly palaces on Fengju Mountain before I was stopped by your master." "Really? I don't dare to lie at all." Yin Tiansheng hurriedly shook his head. Chapter 289. At this time, Jiang Dudu smiled and said, "Brother, old Yin didn't lie." Relying on the comfort of Yin Tiansheng's remnant spirit, she could sense the other party's thoughts. Jiang Xi nodded and smiled. "I won't say much about threats. If you really have any other intentions, Dudu won't show mercy. I don't dare. Yin Tianxing shook his head again. Then, Jiang Dudu took back her so-called ghost pet. Brother, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Moreover, it's useful to keep old Yin. She can guide me in cultivation or something. You can't be careless. Later, I'll teach you a few restrictions against spiritual sense. You can put them on her. It'll be safer. That's good. Give me a more ruthless and powerful one. Jiang Dudu's eyes lit up. The two of them chatted with each other and started chatting again. They each told each other about their experiences in the past year. In fact, in the past year, the two of them had also contacted each other through the communication bead. But most of the time, Jiang Ci was either working on Murong planet or cultivating in seclusion. They rarely contacted each other, and most of them were just a few hurried words. Therefore, the two of them chatted for 3 whole days this time. Then, they began to prepare New Year goods and visit their relatives and friends. For example, their former neighbor in Luming District, Old Yang, Zhenten Buden's Zhong Wei, Uncle Jiang, Lu Shan, and Chen Yuan. There was also the president of the Kitasanfu Martial Artists Association, He Chongxing, and so on. These were all elders and friends. Jiang Ci took the initiative to visit them all. As for the rest of the martial arts world in Pakistan province, they were all here to visit Jiang Ci. Of course, whether Jiang Ci would see them or not was another matter. After not seeing each other for a year, everyone thought that Jiang Ci was in seclusion. When they saw Jiang Ci again, everyone was very surprised. Because they could still feel Jiang Ci's spiritual power aura in the past. Now, they realized that they could not see through Jiang Ci at all. Except for Jiang Dudu, Shen Tian, and Li Baibai. No one knew that Jiang Ci was already an existence that far surpassed the current cultivation world on Earth. He was even the Lord of Earth after the New Year. Jiang Ci left Earth with Jiang Dudu, Shen Tian, and Li Baibai. The 4 of them announced to the outside world that they were still in seclusion. As for Jiang Ci's other 2 servants, Chu Ziyi and Qiu Hong, he would continue to shoulder the responsibility of Jiang Ci and the others and protect everything in the Great Xia Kingdom for them. After arriving on the Blue Planet, Shen Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yang went to other planets in the Blue Planet to train and fight. Jiang Dudu, accompanied by Jiang Ci, played on the Blue Planet for more than 2 months. They didn't stop until they were tired of playing. The only thing worth mentioning was that when the Wen siblings met Jiang Dudu for the first time, they called her martial aunt, which made Jiang Dudu blush. However, the little girl's mentality was very good. After that, she happily rewarded the Wen siblings with a wonderful stone as if nothing had happened. She also had a lot of these things in her hands. The Wen siblings were very surprised to find auxiliary magic treasures that could increase the speed of cultivation. Jiang Dudu's generosity made her quickly become familiar with the Wen siblings. She even had nothing to do at the Mountain Sea Star trade. Sometimes, she would go over to help. The backbone of the Mountain Sea Star trade all knew Jiang Dudu's identity, so naturally, they treated her well. However, Jiang Dudu didn't blindly order them around. She just wanted to experience the feeling of being a big sister. The following days were relatively peaceful. Jiang Ci and Jiang Dudu lived on the Blue Planet for half a year and on Earth for the other half. It was like traveling. Of course, they didn't forget about cultivation. Just like that, another 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. At the edge of the solar system, in the desolate starry sky, there was a place like the surface of the water. Waves appeared, and a flying boat shuttled out of it. The head of the Qing Xian sect, Qing Yi, stood on the deck of the flying boat. Looking at the empty starry sky, he let out a long breath. He had finally broken through the dangerous chaotic star belt. Although he looked young, his eyes were full of vicissitudes. He had lived for at least 1,000 years. Yang Er was talking about this galaxy. He really didn't lie to me. Qing Yi's expression was complicated before this. He still had some doubts about this arrogant disciple in his heart. He suspected that Hu Yang didn't want to hand over Earth to the sect. Now, it seemed that he had misunderstood his disciple. It's been more than 3 years, and there's no response to my message. It seems that something bad really happened. But why didn't the life jade break? This was something that Qing Yi couldn't understand. He decided that when he reached Earth, he would investigate carefully. With the speed of a top-grade flying boat, it would only take 3 to 5 days to reach Earth from here. As he spoke, he took out the astrolabe used for interstellar navigation. Inside it was the navigation route that Hu Yang had given him. What? Qing Yi's expression changed drastically. Previously, Hu Yang had told him that this was a desolate galaxy. However, when he opened the astrolabe, he immediately discovered something. This starry sky had the imprint of the heavenly eye of the Tao Alliance. Qing Yi's expression was uncertain. In this galaxy, the only planet that is qualified to be imprinted by the Tao Alliance's heavenly eye is Earth. This means that someone has already applied to become the overlord of Earth. Who is it? Hu Yang? Or a native? No matter who it was, Qing Yi knew that he was in trouble now. The Tao Alliance's decree, private territory, sacred and inviolable. If he broke in without permission, once he was discovered by the overlord of Earth after that, it was very likely that he would be arrested and hunted down by the Tao Alliance's law enforcer. In the Blue Star region, he might be a famous nascent soul expert. But compared to the Tao Alliance's heavenly court, it was nothing. Any team of law enforcers could kill him. Let's see what the Patriarch has to say. Qing Yi sent a message to his Patriarch. Soon, Patriarch Qing Xian's figure appeared on the deck of the flying ship. Patriarch Qing Xian had the appearance of a teenager. He had long red hair, wore a blood-red spiritual artifact battle armor, and carried a long saber on his back. When he saw the desolate starry sky of the solar system, he smiled. You did well, Patriarch. There's an unexpected situation. This place already has the imprint of the Tao Alliance's heavenly eye. Someone has applied to become the overlord of Earth. Qing Yi shook his head. Is it that disciple of yours? Patriarch Qing Xian's expression darkened. I'm not sure yet. But now that this planet has become a private territory, I can't trespass. If the Tao Alliance's heavenly court pursues the matter, not only me, but also the Qing Xian sect will be implicated. This is the result of 3,000 years of hard work of the Patriarch and the Qing family. Qing Yi smiled bitterly. What are you afraid of? Patriarch Qing Xian suddenly shouted coldly, and a blood-red light shot out from his eyes. Qing Yi was stunned. He did not know why the Patriarch was angry. Patriarch Qing Xian laughed coldly. So what if the Tao Alliance's heavenly court pursues the matter? So what if the Qing Xian sect is implicated? What do you think the Qing Xian sect is ranked in the top 10 among the countless immortal sects in the Blue Star region? It's because of the Qing Xian sect. It's because I killed a nascent soul cultivator with 3 slashes. Power. Power is the foundation. Honor and reputation are bullshit. Chapter 290. Qing Yi's expression changed. Old ancestor Qing Xian continued to scold him. You should have heard about what happened on Murong planet in Minglan Star region 3 years ago. So many cultivators died because of a path unification inheritance. Not only are 2 Tao integration stage super mighty figures buried on this desolate planet called Earth, but they're also buried here. There are also top demon bloodlines like the dragon python and the black tortoise. Who knows how many other hidden opportunities there are. You have to remember that the most fundamental law of the universe is that the strong are respected. So, who cares if he's an overlord? Just capture him or kill him, and then snatch the opportunity. If I can get the opportunities on this planet, I will have a chance to reach path unification. By then, will the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance still pursue the trespassing of private property? If the Qing Xian sect is destroyed, so be it. As long as I don't die, as long as I reach path unification, I can rebuild it. And the rebuilt Qing Xian sect will only be stronger. Old ancestor Qing Xian did not hide the ambition in his heart as his long red hair fluttered. Even though they were separated by a communication pearl, Nai Tian could still sense the bloodthirsty aura pulsing in his deep eyes. Qing Yi's eyes became firm. He was awakened by the old ancestor's words. Indeed, he had always thought too highly of the Qing Xian sect and neglected the fact that strength was the foundation. Thank you for your teachings, old ancestor. I will go to Earth now. Very good. Go and find out the details of Earth. If there is a threat, solve it if you can. If you can't, contact me. Old ancestor Qing Xian nodded. 4 days later, Qingyi drove the flying ship and traveled to the starry sky near Earth. When he saw the 2 moons hanging in the sky outside Earth, he understood the old ancestor's words even more. There must be a great opportunity in such a blessed land. By then, not only would the old ancestor reach path unification, maybe he would also have a chance to touch the threshold of path unification. Path unification was the peak of cultivators. In the pale blue star region, the whereabouts of path unification experts were not obvious. They could be the strongest on the surface when they were only in the primordial soul realm as long as they could reach path unification. Even if they built the Qing Xian sect into a top immortal Dao sect like the Tsangyun sect, they might still have a chance. Qing Yi's eyes were burning as he drove the flying ship through Earth's atmosphere and landed on Earth. I wonder if it was Hu Yang or an aboriginal who applied to become the Earth's overlord. After all, there are 2 Dao integration stage experts buried on this planet. Let's investigate in secret first. With such cautious thoughts in mind, he began to use his spiritual sense to investigate. With his nascent soul stage cultivation base, the limit of his spiritual sense exploration was 1,000 kilometers. In an hour, he would be able to roughly explore the entire Earth. At this moment, Qingyi was in the air above the African continent. Soon, he made a discovery. With his spiritual awareness, he discovered a pyramid 10,000 meters below the surface of an oasis in the desert. This is an ancient altar. It's an altar that only Dao integration stage powerful beings can build. An altar like this can contain the Dao of heaven and earth of a Dao integration stage super mighty figure. Qingyi was ecstatic. They had only just begun, but they had already discovered a Dao integration stage inheritance. Moreover, it was clear that this altar had existed for over 10,000 years and was not left behind by Daoist Ge and Yin Tian. Qingyi took a deep breath and went deep into the ground. He carefully searched the pyramid but didn't find anything. What a pity, it turns out to be an abandoned ancient altar. From the looks of it, there might be more than 1 Dao integration stage inheritance on this planet. He continued north and arrived at the continent where the Holy Alliance was located. He soon made a new discovery. In the air above the 1,000-year-old holy city of the Holy Alliance, Qingyi stood in the air, his figure hidden in the void. The Holy Alliance, which only had 1 golden core cultivator, couldn't discover him at all. This city is very strange. It seems like there's a powerful array formation. There's a faint, frightening fluctuation. Qingyi was secretly shocked. Out of caution, he didn't go down and only memorized the location of the holy city. He continued to investigate other places. Next, he went to the Atlantic Ocean, the American continent where the Shadow Nation was located, and then to the Pacific Ocean. Along the way, he made many discoveries. Especially at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, he discovered a group of abandoned cities. There's actually a civilization left behind by the Sea Tribe. Qingyi was shocked again. In the 9 major galaxies of the Dao Alliance, the Sea Tribe was on the verge of extinction. Only a small number of them lived in the remote galaxies of the Dao Alliance. Then, Qingyi followed the line of the equator and investigated all the way from the Pacific Ocean to the subcontinent where the Peacock Nation was located. Qingyi turned pale with fright. His spiritual sense quickly discovered ancient temples that were buried deep in the ground. Although these ancient temples were old, he could see the majestic scene from them. There's actually Buddhist ruins here. Even with Qingyi's invincible nascent soul cultivation, his throat couldn't help but dry up. The Dao Alliance had 3 factions and 6 sects. The 3 factions were the Daoist sect, the Buddhist sect, and the Sword sect. Any one of them was a transcendent existence in the universe. The Buddhist sects were the most mysterious of all. This was because in the 9 major galaxies of the Dao Alliance, the Buddhist realm ruled by the Buddhist sect had always been at the edge of the 9 major galaxies. In the other 8 major galaxies, it was very rare to see a Buddhist disciple. And on this planet, he actually saw the ruins of Buddhism, and it's not an ordinary Buddhist ruin. It seems like a powerful and famous Buddhist mountain once existed here. Qingyi's throat moved. The shock in his heart couldn't be suppressed for a long time. What's the origin of this planet? He clearly knew that this was no longer as simple as the Tao integration stage. It was related to existences above the Tao integration stage. What kind of third-grade planet is this? I'm afraid it's even higher than sixth grade. Thus, Qingyi became even more careful. He didn't dare to rashly explore the Buddhist ruins here. Everyone knew how powerful the Buddhist sect was. If they violated any taboos, they might not even know how they died, or they might not even have the chance to die. Qingyi carefully set off again. Soon, he arrived at the western plateau of the Great Xia Kingdom. He first explored to the east. In a mountain range near the Shu Mountain Prefecture, Qingyi made a new discovery. Hey! It's a grotto heaven mystic realm. Qingyi found the entrance to the Fengju mystic realm under a small mountain. The Dark Suppression Army and the Shu Jiao guarding this place were not worth mentioning in Qingyi's eyes. He easily avoided the seal and entered the stone cave. This place is close to the Buddhist ruins. Why is it so gloomy? It's so pure. Could it be the power of yin? Qingyi was puzzled at first. Then, his eyes suddenly lit up. That was an extremely precious energy body. In a flash, he passed through the spatial door. Then, he saw the majestic Fengju mountain at first glance in the Fengju mystic realm. This. Qingyi was frightened. His face was filled with fear. He could no longer maintain his composure and fled this place. From the time he entered to the time he came out, it took less than 3 seconds. Chapter 291. Ghost Race. It's the ruins of the Ghost Race. How is that possible? The Ghost Race is the greatest enemy of the human race. It's impossible for there to be ruins of the Ghost Race in the 9 major stellar zones of the Tao Alliance. After Qingyi escaped, he looked at the black space door, the entrance to the Fengju mystic realm, with fear and trepidation. After a long time, he managed to dispel some of the fear in his heart, but he was still a little shaken. The 3 strongest races in the universe were the human race, the demon race, and the ghost race. The 3 of them were enemies and had fought each other in the extraterritorial battlefield for countless years. Qingyi knew very well that with his strength, he could be called a top expert in the Pale Blue Star region. But in the extraterritorial battlefield, he was just cannon fodder against the demon race and the ghost race. And there was such a large-scale ghost race ruin here. Qingyi swallowed his saliva and looked at the space door again with lingering fear. Even a Tao integration stage elite would be terrified on that black mountain, wouldn't they? Yes, according to the Patriarch, Daoist GE followed the ghost race's Tao integration expert, Yin Tianxing here. It seems like Yin Tianxing came here for this place. No matter what, I can't go in anymore. The ghost race has strange methods. With my invincible nascent soul strength, if I really encounter danger, I won't even know how I died. Qingyi shook his head and continued to explore other places. Soon, he arrived at the Kunlun Mountains and stood in the air. Such an immortal mountain terrain, it's natural. It seems like there's a powerful array formation here. But this place is close to the Buddhist and ghost race ruins. There shouldn't be any shocking existence here. Just as this thought appeared in Qingyi's mind, his spiritual consciousness discovered Kunlun's Death Valley. Another entrance to the Grotto Heaven mystic realm? Was it opened by an Essence Soul expert? Or a Tao integration expert? Yes, the outer barrier is so obvious. It must have been left behind by an Essence Soul expert. Qingyi carefully explored the mountain range again and didn't sense any dangerous aura. Then, he entered Death Valley in a flash and was transported to the Jade Pool mystic realm. After seeing the beautiful scenery in the mystic realm, Qingyi heaved a sigh of relief. Qingyi breathed a sigh of relief. Although there were some undead creatures, they were obviously not from the ghost race. In a few breaths' time, he arrived above the Tongtian Mountain. The Tongtian Mountain was guarded by the military of the Great Xia Kingdom and the martial artists of Genten Buden. At this moment, He Tu and the 2 spirit vessel cultivators from the Great Xia Empire were present. However, with their cultivation level, they were unable to detect Qingyi, who was invincible in the nascent soul realm. There's a floating lake. It seems like this place was left behind by a formation master. No. This lake does not exist in this grotto heaven. There is a second heavenly abode here. It must have been left behind by a Tao integration stage powerful being. I wonder where the entrance to the second paradise is. Qingyi was a little surprised. Furthermore, there were humans in the lake at the top of the mountain. He felt that there was no danger here, so he began to carefully explore with his spiritual sense. Subsequently, he first detected the stone tablet that had the words Heavenspan Mountain inscribed on it. What era is this language from? This place dares to call itself Tongtian? Qingyi was extremely surprised. In the entire Tao Alliance, only the Heavenspan Eye would dare to be named Heavenspan. With this thought in mind, his spirit sense found the stone door leading to the second heavenly abode in the lake at the top of the mountain. Just as he was about to go over, at this moment. Scram! The voice of a woman echoed in his mind. Qingyi was so frightened that his body trembled, and his face turned green. A high-grade flying boat suddenly appeared. He drove the flying boat as if his life depended on it, and instantly passed through the barrier of the Jade Pool mystic realm. With another shuttle, he escaped from Earth. Because he was too flustered, he did not have time to hide his aura. Hei Tu and the others, who were in charge of guarding the Heavenspan Mountain, immediately discovered this situation. Although they did not see clearly, no one dared to ignore such an abnormality. They immediately reported the situation. At this moment, Jiang Xi was cultivating at home in the Heavenspan district. He was worried that the people from the Qing Shen sect would come early. Half a year ago, he returned to Earth with the Shen Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yang. As for Jiang Dudu, for the sake of safety, he forced the little girl to stay in the blue planet. If they were unlucky and old ancestor Qing Shen came, Jiang Dudu could also survive. This was also the reason why he brought Hu Yang back. Because if he really met with an accident, the spiritual sense restriction on Hu Yang's body would be unsealed. At that time, no one would be able to control Hu Yang. Not only Hu Yang, but also Chu Ziyi and Qiu Hong. He brought them with him. If something happened, he could take them away together. When the abnormal situation occurred in the Jade Lake secret realm, Jiang Xi immediately learned the news from the Shen Tian. He, Hu Yang, Chu Ziyi, and Qiu Hong drove the flying boat together. From the sky above Pak Sen province, they instantly arrived at the Kunlun Mountains and entered the Jade Lake secret realm. The Shen Tian and Li Baibai arrived after a while. There are remnants of the spiritual power of the nascent soul stage here. Jiang Xi frowned. Both of their expressions immediately turned solemn. There was no other cultivator on Earth except for Jiang Xi. Then, it could only be someone from the Qing Shen sect. Where is he? Is he still on Earth? The Shen Tian quickly asked. Jiang Xi's figure kept flashing in the sky above the Kunlun Mountains, investigating the whereabouts of the spiritual power aura. In the end, he found that the spiritual power aura of the nascent soul stage had passed through the atmosphere. He left Earth. Let's go and chase after him. Jiang Xi drove the flying boat and chased after the spiritual power aura with the Shen Tian and the others. Qingyi did not dare to stop at all. The flying boat shuttled desperately and only stopped when it was near Mars. Because he found that no one was chasing after him. There's actually a living powerhouse there. Is it the Path Integration Powerhouse who opened the Grotto Heaven secret realm? No, if it's a Path Integration Powerhouse, that cold shout just now would have shattered my soul. Why didn't she kill me? Qingyi's face was still very pale, and his heart was filled with fear. No matter what, he definitely did not dare to go to Earth now. Who knew what the powerhouse who told him to get lost meant? After thinking about it, he sent a message to his own patriarch. This was no longer a threat that he could deal with. Patriarch Qing Shen's voice soon appeared on the flying boat. He saw that Qingyi was still in the starry sky, looking panicked and pale. He was immediately puzzled and asked, did you find anything? Patriarch, there seems to be a living path integration powerhouse on this planet. Qingyi's throat moved. A path integration powerhouse? Patriarch Qing Shen was shocked. Although he had the ability to kill an Essence Soul Stage cultivator, he was not strong enough in front of a path integration powerhouse. A casual attack from the other party could destroy his soul. There's a Grotto Heaven secret realm where there's a second Grotto Heaven that can only be opened by a path integration powerhouse. When I was about to enter, a woman's voice directly shouted at me to retreat. Qingyi briefly explained the situation in the Jade Lake secret realm. Chapter 292. Show me the data recorded on the astrolabe. Patriarch Qing Xian was calmer than Qingyi. Qingyi finally reacted. When he used his spiritual consciousness to explore Earth, he had been using the astrolabe to record those scenes. It was just that he was scared out of his wits just now and did not remember. Then, he injected spiritual energy into the astrolabe, and illusions appeared in front of them. They were the scenes he had explored on Earth. Starting from the ancient pyramid altar underground, to the Jade Pool mystic realm. Patriarch Qing Xian flipped through it, and he could clearly feel that his breathing had become rapid. These are all places left behind by at least Dao integration expert. This small planet actually hides so many powerful relics. When he saw the illusion of the Fengdu mystic realm, his expression changed greatly. Ghost race. There are ruins of the ghost race. That black mountain is very similar to the legendary sacred mountain of the ghost realm. No wonder Yin Tiansheng came here. In front of Qingyi, Patriarch Qing Xian suppressed his shock and did not show it. After flipping through these data records, his heart was in a perilous situation. The Grotto Heaven mystic realm that scared Yi away in the end actually has a mountain that dares to use the name Sky-piercing, and that Grotto Heaven mystic realm is located in an endless mountain range. That mountain range is like a celestial mountain, and the heaven and earth array is faintly formed. It is also very similar to some of the Dao sect's array formations. The Dao sect, Buddhism sect, and Ghost Race ruins actually appeared on this planet at the same time. Perhaps there is more. This planet hides a huge secret, a huge terror. No matter what, I can't go there. Not to mention the Dao sect and Buddhism sect, just the Ghost Race ruins alone. If there is something hidden, it can make me die without a burial place. Patriarch Qing Xian was scared out of his wits even after looking through these recorded images. He had seen more than Qingyi and knew more. The ignorant were fearless, but the knowledgeable were deeply fearful. The more one knew, the more one would feel the terror of this planet. Patriarch Qing Xian pondered for a long time and finally made a decision. He said to Qingyi, "Yi, you guessed wrong. The woman who scared you away is the legendary artifact spirit." Weapon spirit? Qingyi was puzzled. He had never heard of it before. That's right. A Dharma treasure that surpasses a spirit weapon will produce a weapon spirit. As long as the Dharma treasure is not destroyed, the weapon spirit will not be destroyed. A Dao integration expert's lifespan is at most 10,000 years. Only a weapon spirit can live for endless years. Old ancestor Qing Xian explained. Then why didn't the artifact spirit attack me? Qingyi was still puzzled. Will the saber kill by itself? Old ancestor Qing Xian laughed. Qingyi suddenly understood. What he didn't know was that even old ancestor Qing Xian himself wasn't sure if his guess was correct. Old ancestor Qing Xian did this just to let him, a descendant, go and investigate. As for Qingyi, due to his trust in the old ancestor, he did not have any suspicions. Then, old ancestor Qing Xian laughed and said, "You've already scouted this planet, so go ahead and find the planet's overlord. It's best to capture him and place a spiritual sense restriction spell on him so that he can become your slave. In this way, we can explore the opportunities on this planet without any worries. If there's no other way, we can kill him, but we must kill him quickly. We can't give him a chance to send a message to the Dao Alliance Heavenly Court. Anyway, this is a barren planet. Very few people set foot here. We also have a chance." As he said this, suddenly, "Someone's coming." Qingyi's expression changed. A flying ship was shuttling through the starry sky not far away. "There's a flying ship. It's Jiangxi," Qingyi said again. His spiritual sense had discovered the figure on the flying ship. "My disciple, Hu Yang, is also there." It seems that he has really betrayed us. Qing Yi's eyes flashed coldly. As old ancestor Qing Xian was a messenger, he couldn't use his spiritual sense to investigate. Therefore, after Qing Yi's reminder, he knew that someone was approaching this starry sky. Old ancestor Qing Xian laughed. Ha ha, a mere golden core cultivator. So what if he has betrayed us? We'll just kill him together. They have a Dharma treasure like a flying ship. It seems that they have been to other planets. The overlord of this planet must be among them. You don't have to make another trip. Capture them. Qing Yi laughed too. He was full of confidence. He drove the flying ship and flew straight over, after leaving the Earth and traveling through the starry sky twice. After Hu Yang's reminder, Jiang Xi knew that the nascent soul cultivator of unknown origin took the same route as Hu Yang when he came to the Earth. In this way, he could be sure that the nascent soul cultivator was from Qing Xian sect. He traveled along this route and soon came to the starry sky near Mars. He saw the flying ship 1,000 kilometers away. Old ancestor Qing Xian, Qing Yi. Jiang Xi's spiritual sense instantly discovered the figure on the deck of the flying ship. His expression suddenly changed. Old ancestor Qing Xian was also here. He had already learned from Hu Yang about the appearance of the nascent soul cultivators from Qing Xian sect. Therefore, he recognized the two figures at a glance. No. Jiang Xi was relieved again. It turned out that there was only one nascent soul cultivator's aura and old ancestor Qing Xian was just a messenger. If there was only Qing Xian sect's chief, Qing Yi, there would be no problem. Seeing the other party's flying ship flying over unscrupulously, Jiang Xi, Shen Tian, and Li Baibai looked at each other and smiled. Then, Jiang Xi flew straight out of the formation enchantment of the flying ship and stood in the starry sky, waiting for the other party's arrival. He wanted to face the other party head-on. Shen Tian and Li Baibai were even calmer. They were not worried at all. Hu Yang, Chu Ziyi, and Qiu Hong were also full of confidence in their master. Soon, the two sides met. Qing Yi also flew down from the flying ship and stood in the starry sky. Old ancestor Qing Xian had not finished his message. His figure was still on the deck of the flying ship, watching the battle. He wanted to see Qing Yi defeat the enemy with his own eyes and master the opportunity of this planet. At this time, Qing Yi frowned slightly. He suddenly realized that he could not see through Jiang Xi's cultivation. When he was 1,000 kilometers away, he used his spiritual sense to check Jiang Xi's aura. He was still at the late stage of golden core. But now, Jiang Xi's aura was a bit hazy. There were only two possibilities for this situation. One was that Jiang Xi had reached the full nascent soul stage, and his control of the nascent soul stage spiritual power had reached the extreme. Only those in the nascent soul stage could detect it. The other possibility was that Jiang Xi had reached the nascent soul stage. Impossible. It's only been 3 years. Qing Yi directly denied these two speculations. 3 years ago, Hu Yang mentioned to him several geniuses on Earth, and Jiang Xi was one of them. He knew that Jiang Xi was still at the golden core stage 3 years ago. Thinking of this, Qing Yi was relieved. He did not put Jiang Xi in his eyes, and then directly used his spiritual sense to transmit his voice to the flying ship behind Jiang Xi. Hu Yang, why did you betray us? Because Master treats me better. Hu Yang chuckled and just said a simple sentence. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.